Chapter 97. Sheng Xiao only gave Mu Qiqi the courage to fight back. But, if Mu Tongxue did not hurt her again and again, Mu Qiqi thought that she would not have so many troubles at the age of 18. Soon, Mu Tongxue left the small mansion with the Mu family's lawyer. Meanwhile, Su Zipei asked Mu Qiqi, "What did you two talk about?" "Aunt, I will not be wronged again. You can be sure about that. But you have given me all your shares. Giving them to you is more useful than giving them to me. Then, you won't feel that you are trying to climb up the social ladder with Uncle Lu." Mu Qiqi smiled. Su Zipei took a deep breath and patted Mu Qiqi's head. "You have changed a lot in these few months. I can't keep up with you anymore. Aunt, I have just grown up. But, I still need Uncle Lu's help to speak for Mu Group. I know what to do. Also, the lawyer said that she can be released on bail until the trial. Aunt, I will have to trouble you with her. I don't want to see her." Mu Qiqi knew who Su Zipei was talking about. The first thing Mama Mu would do after she was released from the detention center would be to divorce Papa Mu. So, Mu Qiqi just wanted to watch the drama unfold. She could not see anything like family love from Mama Mu. "Okay, I know. Everything went smoothly." But, Lu Wenhua did not expect that Mu Qiqi would give all the shares of Mu Group to Su Zipei without holding anything back. Aside from Sheng Xiao, Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei were truly relying on each other. Even so, he was still worried that Su Zipei would be hurt if she found out about it. Su Zipei kept Lu Wenhua's words in mind. She thought that there was something going on in the middle of the night. So she listened carefully. Because of that, she saw Mu Qiqi going out at 11 o'clock at night. She saw Mu Qiqi going out. But, she did not know where she was going or who she was meeting. Although Mu Qiqi had gone out before, it was to buy snacks. But this time, Su Zipei realized that Mu Qiqi did not come home until 1 in the morning. She could have found out where Mu Qiqi was with just a phone call. But she would be fooled if Mu Qiqi came up with some other excuse. That was why she simply said nothing. Mu Qiqi did not know that Su Zipei had found out about her going out after Lu Wenhua's reminder. After all, she would go to her new home at night even if it was stormy. Because that was the only time she could be with Sheng Xiao. After hearing about what happened during the day, Sheng Xiao put Mu Qiqi on the washstand and leaned between her legs. He looked at her and said, "Since it's over, do you want to go out and play for a few days?" "Can I?" Mu Qiqi asked, hooking her arms around his neck. "I'll arrange it." Then, he buried his head in her neck and kissed her earlobe, the earlobe with his name tattooed on it. Mu Qiqi fell into Sheng Xiao's arms and let him do whatever he wanted. After a while they were back on the big bed. Although they did not have their first night, and Sheng Xiao was waiting patiently, it was inevitable that the two of them would be intimate now that they had broken through that boundary. But they did not take the last step. Lying on the bed, Sheng Xiao looked at Mu Qiqi and lifted her chin. "Little one, you haven't smiled for a long time. Why don't you smile?" "How can I smile now?" Mu Qiqi hooked her arms around Sheng Xiao's neck. "Why? What are you not satisfied with?" Sheng Xiao asked. Mu Qiqi got up and kissed Sheng Xiao's Adam's apple. Then she lay down again. "I just want to be with you. But I am afraid that I will know more about the Sheng family. That is not what you should think about now. When the time is right, I will arrange for you to meet the Sheng family. But not now." Sheng Xiao caressed Mu Qiqi's cheek with his finger and promised her. "I promise that I will let you subdue them one by one. Isn't it too early to say that?" Mu Qiqi did not want to hold on to her expectations so soon. Sheng Xiao lowered his head and kissed Mu Qiqi's thin lips. "I just don't want you to be afraid." Then the bedside lamp was switched off. In the dark, there was nothing but the sound of their kissing. Love and comfort were necessary. But in the end, Sheng Xiao cared about Mu Qiqi's body. Even if the pain was coming sooner or later, he had to follow the doctor's advice and do it step by step. He would first adjust Mu Qiqi's state every time they were intimate. It was good for her. After midnight, Mu Qiqi slept in Sheng Xiao's arms. Even in the summer, Mu Qiqi did not want to let go of his hands. Sheng Xiao was sweating all over, but he let her be. "Xiao Xiao, I am so hot. Turning on the air conditioner will lower your immune system. It is not good for your body." That being said, the great crown prince of Huang Yao did not mean what he said. He did it just so that Mu Chi-Chi could sleep comfortably. How could he not spoil his little one? I want to go out and play with you, Mu Chi-Chi said in her sleep. I think you are fantasizing about me. But was the matter with the Mu family really resolved? It seemed not. The next morning, Mama Mu was released from the detention center after being released on bail. Even if Su Zipei did not want to see her, she still waited for her at the door. After all, Mama Mu had nowhere else to go. I have arranged a place for you to stay. You can keep using the lawyer, since you want to sue Mu Chi-Chi. Zipei, I still want to see Mu Chi-Chi. But Mu Chi-Chi does not want you to see her. Su Zipei answered straightforwardly. She is going to university soon. She does not want to have anything to do with the Mu family. But there is something I want to tell her. Mama Mu's expression was solemn. I am too selfish. You can tell me what you want to say. Mama Mu glanced at Su Zipei. She was about to speak, but swallowed her words. Su Zipei glanced at Mama Su. She found her expression strange, but she did not ask. It was just that once this secret was made public, many things would change. Especially Mu Chi-Chi's future. Still, Mu Tongxue had promised Papa Mu that she would settle Mama Mu's divorce once Mama Mu was released. There was no telling if she could wait until the secret was revealed. Chapter 98. After settling Mama Mu down, Su Zipei returned to the small mansion. She did not tell Mu Chi-Chi that she saw Mu Chi-Chi going out. She did everything as usual. She waited until Mu Chi-Chi left the house at 11 o'clock at night. She followed Mu Chi-Chi quietly. When she saw Mu Chi-Chi getting into Sheng Zhao's car, she took a few steps back. Suddenly, she understood why Lu Wenhua asked her to be careful. He must have seen Mu Chi-Chi and Sheng Xiao leaving the house. Then, she remembered what Mu Tongxue told her about Mu Chi-Chi's secret meeting with a man at night. It turned out that Mu Chi-Chi and Sheng Xiao had been going on a secret date before that. But she did not know about it. Chi-Chi, young Master Sheng. Su Zipei covered her chest and went back to the mansion. She sat in the living room. Her mind was in a mess. She had never thought that Mu Chi-Chi would fall in love with her savior. Then Su Zipei called Lu Wenhua. She knew that Mu Chi-Chi would not come back that night. Lu Wenhua thought that something important had happened to Su Zipei when he received the call. But when he entered the small mansion and sat opposite Su Zipei, he saw that Su Zipei looked very serious. She seemed to be in a state of shock. Did Mu Chi-Chi go out? You saw it. That's why you told me, right? Su Zipei raised her head and asked Lu Wenhua. I don't want you to be kept in the dark, Lu Wenhua replied. These two kids. Su Zipei's hands were trembling, but she forced herself to calm down. You didn't tell anyone, right? Why would I tell anyone about this? Lu Wenhua replied. I'm just worried that you'll get hurt. I will handle this. It has nothing to do with you. Please don't make decisions on your own in the future, Su Zipei said to Lu Wenhua. Zipei, after such a long time, I thought that I had entered your heart. Don't you understand what I'm doing? Lu Wenhua was a little hurt by Su Zipei's tough words. I really don't understand you now. It doesn't matter what Chi-Chi has done. It doesn't matter if she is hiding it from me. As her aunt, I will stand by her side unconditionally. If you are not a like-minded person, then I will not continue to be with you. Su Zipei said to Lu Wenhua seriously, even if you are in my heart, I have to be sure that you will not hurt Chi-Chi. Zipei, Chi-Chi is like my own daughter. How could I hurt her? Su Zipei looked at him seriously. Both of them looked at each other for a long time. Finally Su Zipei nodded. If that's the case, no matter what happens in the future, I hope that you'll stand on our side and protect us. As for the other matters, I will naturally deal with them. Lu Wenhua did not mind it at all. The Sheng family is a dangerous place. If we don't stand by Chi-Chi's side, she will lose all her confidence. Do you know where they went? There's a villa area near Shengting University. The person I hired tonight has just reported to me. Young Master Sheng should have bought some property there. I want to go in. Can you think of a way? Su Zipei asked Lu Wenhua. Although Lu Wenhua was surprised why Su Zipei wanted to go in, he still nodded and agreed. I will try my best. Actually, it was not difficult to understand. For Su Zipei, she had to protect Mu Chi-Chi in front of others. But it was an indisputable fact that Mu Qiqi and Sheng Xiao had lied to her. She naturally had to settle this matter and vent her anger at Mu Qiqi. Otherwise, it would be extremely embarrassing if someone else used this matter, or if the Sheng family found out about it, and she knew nothing about it. As for the other matters, she would only know after she met the two of them. Mu Qiqi and Sheng Xiao lived together secretly in the small house. Of course, it was not the style of the crown prince of Huangyao. But because Mu Qiqi cared about it, he had to be careful. The next day, at 5 o'clock, the two of them woke up together. But when they walked out of the villa, they saw Su Zipei standing in front of their villa. Mu Qiqi was stunned. She wanted to let go of Sheng Xiao's right hand, but it was too late. She stopped moving. When Su Zipei saw the two of them walking out of the villa, she closed her eyes and cried, "How could you do this? How could you? Aunt Zipei?" Mu Qiqi was both afraid and apprehensive. Su Zipei walked to the two of them with tears streaming down her face. Sheng Xiao said to Mu Qiqi, "Go and open the door." Su Zipei followed Mu Qiqi into the living room. Then, she sat on the sofa and covered her face crying. Mu Qiqi squatted in front of Su Zipei and held her hand with trembling hands. "Aunt, please hit me." As a result, Su Zipei really punched her. "How can you be so bold? You are living together with a man. Aunt, I like Xiao Xiao. I don't want to let him go. So, I want to tell you, but I am afraid that you will object. I am so afraid. You said that Xiao Xiao is our savior. I am so afraid. You said that I can't be a match for him." Seeing Mu Qiqi kneeling on the floor, Su Zipei could not bear it. "I am afraid because I feel sorry for you. Do you know what kind of family the Sheng family is?" "Aunt, I am not afraid." "Since you are not afraid of this, why are you afraid to tell me?" Su Zipei sighed deeply. "Do you know how sad I am? Aunt, I am sorry." Sheng Xiao was standing behind them, but he knew that Su Zipei did not mean to make things difficult for Mu Qiqi. Moreover, Lu Wenhua stopped him from speaking for Mu Qiqi, so he just stood aside. He knew that Mu Qiqi cared a lot about this aunt of hers. She stood up from the sofa and walked around the villa. When she saw that the villa was filled with the smell of the two of them, she could not help but burst into tears. When she arrived at the kitchen, she saw that it was clean and tidy. She turned around and said, "Don't sneak around in the future. It's bad for your health to wake up at 5 in the morning. Also, both of you don't know how to cook. You should go home and eat." Mu Qiqi nodded and said, "Don't sneak around in the future. Aunt Qiqi, you used to be timid and cowardly, and I was afraid that you would be taken advantage of. But after this period of time, I can see that you have changed. So, I will not interfere with your decisions. But no matter how difficult it is to say, you must tell me in the future. I don't know how the Sheng family is, and I don't want to know. But if young Master Sheng cannot protect you, you still have me. I can help you and protect you. Just don't hide it from me like today. Can you do that?" Chapter 99. The two of them hugged each other and cried for a long time. It was only after much difficulty that they stopped, and Su Zipei led Mu Qiqi to Sheng Xiao. "Young Master Sheng, may I have a word with you alone?" Mu Qiqi asked. Sheng Xiao pulled Mu Qiqi closer to him and wiped her tears. Then, he brought Su Zipei into the study and closed the door. "Young Master Sheng, are you just playing with Mu Qiqi or?" Sheng Xiao crossed his arms and leaned against the desk. He answered Su Zipei, "I am serious. But you know the Sheng family. If I am not confident, I will not expose her in front of everyone. Even if it is the Sheng family, I can still help her." Sheng Xiao answered Su Zipei. He was not as lazy, devilish or playful as he used to be. He was very serious. "But why Mu Qiqi?" "There is no why. It is her. There is no one else." Su Zipei wiped away her tears and nodded. "All right, since you have decided to be together, I will do my best to protect Qiqi. But young Master Sheng, I have something to tell you. If Qiqi is hurt one day, I will fight you to the death." Su Zipei nodded and said, "That's right. You will not have that chance." After they finished talking, they walked out of the study one after another. Mu Qiqi went up to them. "Aunt Xiao Xiao. All right, you should rest. The sun is not up yet. Let's talk tomorrow." Su Zipei waved at them. Lu Wenhua went forward and held Su Zipei's shoulder. They did not stay in the villa for long. Mu Qiqi watched them leave, but she could not do anything. She knew that her aunt still needed time to digest. Seeing her standing at the door in a daze, Sheng Xiao reached out to Mu Qiqi and pulled her into his arms. Why? Do you feel guilty now? Aunt does not blame me. She is a righteous person. But I. After Sheng Xiao heard this, he carried her horizontally and placed her on the piano table behind him. Then he covered her with his tall body. You have a good aunt. I know. Soon, Sheng Xiao's kiss landed, and her clothes fell to the ground. If that's the case, I'll F***ck you today. Here? What? You still want to pick? Before Mu Qiqi could say anything else, her chin was lifted, and Sheng Xiao's warm palm moved down her spine. Her body was so sensitive that she couldn't help leaning back. The pain from that night was incomparably clear, but she did not flinch. She clung to his shoulders with both hands. When Sheng Xiao saw that, he picked her up by the waist and quickly returned to the bedroom. Then, he took out a condom. Mu Qiqi blushed and looked away. At the same time, she was very afraid because she knew how unforgettable the pain was. Seizing the opportunity, Sheng Xiao lifted her chin and stared at her with his beautiful eyes. Can't concentrate? Xiao Xiao. Mu Qiqi called out softly. Perhaps she herself did not know that her voice was trembling and begging for mercy. It was no different from an aphrodisiac that struck straight at a man's heart. Xiao Xiao. What's the hurry? Sheng Xiao smiled mischievously when he heard Mu Qiqi's soft cry. After that, he did not hold back and expressed his feelings with intense actions and words. It was 8 o'clock in the morning when she woke up. Mu Qiqi was relieved when she saw that Sheng Xiao had not left yet. He was still asleep. Beneath his messy hair was a perfect face that captivated and mesmerized people. Mu Qiqi blushed when she remembered what happened just now. She wanted to get up, but her legs were weak, and she almost rolled off the bed. Fortunately, Sheng Xiao reached out and caught her. Mu Qiqi fell into Sheng Xiao's arms and stuck herself to his burning body, not daring to move. Hungry? Sheng Xiao asked over Mu Qiqi's head. Yeah. Mu Qiqi nodded. I want to pack up and go back to see Aunt Zipei. Sheng Xiao opened his eyes and looked down at Mu Qiqi. Then, he rolled over and wrapped her in the blanket before carrying her over his shoulder. Xiao Xiao. Mu Qiqi was shocked. Congratulations on becoming my woman. Sheng Xiao moved closer to Mu Qiqi and teased her. You have taken my first time. You have to take responsibility. When did I say that I won't take responsibility? I'll say the ugly words first. I think I have the potential to be a pervert. I might want you anywhere. And when that happens, you won't be able to take it. You just like to bully me. Mu Qiqi could not help biting Sheng Xiao's nose. I know you're just scaring me. What if that's true? Mu Qiqi looked at his half-smiling face. Her heart raced, and she was afraid that she would sink deeper into it. She quickly pushed him away. Aren't you going to work? Sheng Xiao sneered and did not say anything else. Instead, he put her in the bathtub and cleaned her up. Mu Qiqi enjoyed Sheng Xiao's service and felt the discomfort in her body disappearing bit by bit. She was finally Sheng Xiao's, and Sheng Xiao belonged to her alone. Sheng Xiao, the crown prince, was hers. After washing up, Sheng Xiao sent Mu Qiqi back to the small villa. Then he went back to Huangyao. Mu Qiqi thought about what happened in the morning. She felt sad, especially when she saw Su Zipei. Aunt, since you've made your choice, you must be loyal to it. I understand. Su Zipei smiled at Mu Qiqi. Thank you, Aunt. Moreover, I've promised Wenhua that we'll get along and see if we can become a family. Really? In fact, Su Zipei did this not only because she had feelings for Lu Wenhua, but also because she had other plans. She wanted to help Mu Qiqi gain some background. She could not have nothing. Who knew what would happen to the Sheng family in the future? Lu Wenhua knew that she had such thoughts. But he did not object. After all, it was enough for him to protect the person he loved. Come and have breakfast. I still have to go to the hotel to deal with that woman. She seemed to have a secret to tell me, but she did not say it out loud. I'll ask her today. Chapter 100. Su Zipei arrived at the hotel in the morning. She saw Mama Mu packing her luggage. She asked, Do you have a plan? I spoke to Muchichi last night. He asked me to go to him today to discuss the terms of the divorce. If everything goes well, I want to go abroad after I finish my sentence, Mamamoo said to Suzie. What's the point of staying here now that my family is gone? She could start afresh after she went abroad. It was a good place to go. However, Suzie did not forget her purpose of coming to the hotel today. Yesterday you wanted to say something but stopped. What did you want to say to me? Mamamoo stopped what she was doing when she heard Suzie's question. She turned around and looked at Suzie. What secret do I have to tell you? I know you. Don't you look like you have a secret now? Mamamoo chuckled and sighed. Zippei, I know you care about Muchichi, so I can't tell you my secret now even if I have it. I'll give you an explanation after I get the divorce. Then I'll wait. Are you going to the Mu family? Don't worry. I have my lawyer with me. Everything will be fine. I've had enough of that man. After being married for so many years, Papa Mu always asked her to behave herself. Otherwise he would scold and beat her. She had endured it for so many years. Now it was the end. Alright then. After all, it was a private matter between Mamamoo and the Mu family. She could not force herself to stay by Mamamoo's side. Moreover, even if she was worried about Mamamoo might not appreciate it. After all, no matter how much the Mu family had done wrong, Mamamoo had never done anything wrong. I'm leaving now. Mamamoo brought her lawyer to the Mu family's house. Mamamoo hesitated when she saw the familiar house. But she still walked in. Papa Mu was sitting on the sofa in the living room. There was the divorce agreement on the coffee table in front of him. Mu Group had just started to improve. He did not want to waste his time on Mamamoo. After all, he had given her 10% of the company's shares, so that she could speak up for Mu Group. After being married for so many years, I think I owe you something. So here's the check. You can fill in the amount you want. I won't complain. Mamamoo could not believe it. She never thought that Papa Mu would be so easy to negotiate with. But the check on the table and the divorce agreement were all signed. Papa Mu was not lying this time. Could it be that he still had feelings for Mamamoo? Actually, that was not the case. After Mamamoo called Papa Mu last night, Mu Tongxue told Papa Mu, Dad, you can agree to whatever request that woman makes tomorrow. Then, you'll go on a business trip and leave the rest to me. What if you fail again? Papa Mu clearly did not trust Mu Tongxue enough. Believe me, she won't be able to take a single cent. It was precisely because of that conversation that Papa Mu was being so generous. He rose to his feet when he saw that Mamamoo was not moving. We've been husband and wife for so many years, and I don't want to see you leave with my own eyes. That's why I'm leaving first. I'm going overseas for a business trip. Mamamoo never expected that Papa Mu would be so understanding. Could it be that he really owed her something? She thought that Papa Mu was scheming, but he really left the house. Mamamoo looked at the divorce agreement and the check, and turned to the lawyer doubtfully. If that's the case, it's a good thing. You don't have to trouble the lawyer. If that's the case, I'll leave first. You can pack your things, the lawyer told Mamamoo. All right, we'll contact each other if there's any problem. Mamamoo was not on guard because Papa Mu had already left. Then, she went into her bedroom to pack her things, when she heard movement from Mu Tongxue's room upstairs. Mamamoo cautiously went upstairs, and found Mu Tongxue sitting on the floor, her body covered in wounds and her face in pain. Mu Tongxue quickly threw herself into Mamamoo's arms when she saw her. Mommy, you're finally back. Daddy is going to beat me to death. Please take me away. She remembered that her daughter had been trying to make her a scapegoat when she was detained. Mamamoo quickly pushed her away. I'm not your mother anymore. I've divorced that man. Mu Tongxue was in disbelief. She knelt on the floor and hugged Mamamoo's legs, begging, Mommy, don't go, please? Stay with me. Schwer, I'm not a member of the Mu family anymore. Just tonight. Stay with me. Daddy's on a business trip and I'm scared. Mu Tongxue hugged Mamamoo's legs, and would not let go no matter what. Mamamoo's heart softened at that. I'll leave tomorrow morning. Mu Tongxue hugged Mamamoo's legs and burst into tears when she got a response. Mamamoo helped her to bed when she saw her in pain. She took care of her as she always did, But she was not a member of the Mu family after all. You'll be alone in the Mu family from now on. Be careful. Mommy, you don't want me anymore. You don't want me anymore. Mu Tongxue was sobbing pitifully, which was why Mama Mu stayed by her side and took care of her for the whole day. It was fortunate that the man had gone on a business trip. Otherwise, she would not have stayed in the house for a second. If not for that man's conscience, and did not make things difficult for her after the divorce, she would have ignored Mu Tongxue, no matter how miserable she was. When night fell, Su Zipei called Mama Mu to ask why she did not return to the hotel. Mama Mu told Su Zipei that everything was going smoothly. She would pack her things and leave the Mu family early the next morning. Su Zipei told Mama Mu to be careful, because she knew that the father and daughter of the Mu family were not easy to deal with. Mama Mu nodded in agreement. But she did not know that she would not survive the night in the Mu family. Mu Tongxue stayed in bed for the whole day, because she had been abused too much. After Mama Mu made her dinner, she returned to the room where she had lived with the man for decades and packed her things. Everything appeared to be fine, but the entire mansion was engulfed in thick smoke in the middle of the night. The neighbors quickly called the police, and the firefighters arrived 20 minutes later. Mu Tongxue was calling for help from the second floor, and the firefighters quickly took action. They had her jump down from the second floor, and someone would come to her rescue. The fire was so fierce that Mu Tongxue hesitated several times. Fortunately, everyone tried their best to dissuade her, and she finally jumped out of the window, but she fainted when she reached the ground. Chapter 101. When Su Zipei received the call, it was not even 4 in the morning. She was surprised to receive a call from the hospital, but when the doctor mentioned Su Ziqing's name, Su Zipei's heart skipped a beat, because there was only one thought in her mind. It's over. At the moment, Mu Qiqi was in her new home. She was very restless in her dreams. Sheng Xiao was woken up by her waving hands. Seeing that she was sweating, he propped himself up and hugged her in his arms. Little one, you can't be honest even in your dreams. Su Zipei called Mu Qiqi while rushing to the hospital. Sheng Xiao saw his phone screen flickering. He got up and picked it up. Aunt Ziki, young Master Sheng, bring Mu Qiqi to the hospital. Hurry, her mother is dying. Which hospital? Kong Sheng. Sheng Xiao hung up and turned to look at Mu Qiqi, who was sleeping on the bed. Suddenly, he understood why Mu Qiqi had nightmares. It was because mother and son were connected. Then he put on his clothes and put Mu Qiqi on his shoulder. He did that so that she could sleep a little longer. At the moment, in the emergency department of Kongsheng Hospital, Mu Tongxue had already woken up. The first thing she did when she woke up was to ask the medical staff, "Where's my mommy? Did you manage to save my mommy?" Miss, don't worry." The nurse quickly comforted her. "How can I not worry? The fire is so big that I can't find her." "Your mother is being resuscitated," the nurse replied. "You have inhaled carbon monoxide too. You need to rest." Mu Tongxue struggled to get up, but Su Zipei had already stormed into the emergency room angrily. "Mu Tang Shui Aunt Zipei." Mu Tongxue choked. She felt terrible. "Don't tell me that you don't know why there was a fire in your house." "Aunt Zipei, I really don't know. I really cough." "Family member, don't agitate the patient," the nurse advised Su Zipei. "If there's anything, please investigate it first." Su Zipei looked at Mu Tongxue. She looked at her hateful face and gritted her teeth. "If I find out that you have something to do with this, I won't let you go." "Aunt Zipei, I'm really innocent." Mu Tongxue defended herself. Even if she had done something, she wouldn't have been so heavy-handed. Both men were arguing in the emergency room when Mu Qiqi woke up in Sheng Xiao's sports car, surprised at her surroundings. "Xiao Xiao, the clothes are in the back. Put them on and get out of the car," Sheng Xiao told Mu Qiqi. "Mama Mu was caught in the fire. I don't know if she's alive or dead." Mu Qiqi's eyes widened when she heard the second half of his words. She quickly picked up her clothes from the back seat and put them on. "You go find Auntie. I'll deal with the aftermath." Before she got out of the car, he reached out and held her hand. "No matter what happens, I'll be here, okay?" "I know." Mu Qiqi quickly got out of the car and met Su Zipei at the entrance of the emergency room. Chi-Chi. Aunt, what's the situation now? Su Zipei grabbed Mu-Chi-Chi's arm and shook her head. It's not looking good. I told her not to stay in the Mu family, but she didn't listen to me. Now it's all over. Mu-Chi-Chi couldn't tell what she was feeling. Even if Mama Mu had treated her badly before, even if she didn't treat her like her own daughter, she was still her mother. She was still her family. I couldn't get through to that man. I called the people from Mu Group, and they said that the scumbag had gone abroad. Mu Tongxue. In the emergency room. Humph, Su Zipei snorted. They went to the operating room and waited for about 2 hours. Then the police came to the door. Su Zipei quickly asked the police, how did the fire start? Preliminary investigation. The fire was not turned off in the kitchen. There was still some food on the stove. The fire spread from the first floor to the living room and the master bedroom. Even so, they shouldn't have been hurt so badly. They had a phone, and they could open the door and leave. Moreover, Mu Tongxue could be saved. Don't worry, madam. Miss Mu's room was upstairs, and it was far away from the fire. But she fainted after she was saved. The firefighters didn't know if there was anyone else in the villa. Moreover, the fire spread from the living room to the front door. Obviously, they couldn't get out. Most importantly, there was an explosion. Of course, this is only our preliminary investigation. We'll have to wait for the detailed investigation. Su Zipei signed on behalf of the Mu family, but she couldn't believe that Mu Tongxue had nothing to do with it. How could it be so coincidental? Mu Chi-Chi sat outside the operating room. She couldn't help texting Sheng Xiao. Xiao, have you left? Not far from you. Sheng Xiao replied. Mu Chi-Chi looked up at the corridor. She saw Sheng Xiao sitting on a chair not far away. He was looking at her with a serious face. Mu Chi-Chi was relieved. Then the doctor came out of the operating room. Su Zipei went up to him and grabbed his arm. Doctor, how is my sister? We've tried our best. I'm sorry. Please go and see the patient for the last time. The doctor said apologetically to Su Zipei and Mu Chi-Chi. Su Zipei paused for a moment. Then, she ran into the operating room. Mu Chi-Chi followed behind her. But when they saw Mama Mu lying on the operating table, her whole body scorched. Su Zipei couldn't help but cover her mouth and cry. Mu Chi-Chi couldn't believe it. It was her mother. Zipei. Mama Mu was lying on the operating table and shouted with difficulty. I'm here. I'm here. Su Zipei quickly went up to her. She could smell the burnt smell coming from Mama Mu's body. Her skin was festering. Her face was unrecognizable. Qiten. Shui. Might not be from the Mu family. Mama Mu tried her best to speak to Su Zipei. I don't know whose child I'm pregnant with. Su Zipei could barely hear Mama Mu. She leaned closer to her. Sister, don't talk. That man is Shen Jianchuan. Mama Mu tried her best to open her eyes. She said to Su Zipei, you have to find out. Seeing that Mama Mu didn't have the strength to speak anymore, Su Zipei quickly pulled Mu Chi-Chi to her. Chi-Chi is here. Chi-Chi is here. Sister. Chi. Mama Mu reached out her hand, but she couldn't touch Mu Chi-Chi. Mu Chi-Chi stood in front of Mama Mu. Her eyes were filled with tears. In that very instant, she could not even keep her footing and stumbled backwards. But unexpectedly, Sheng Xiao's warm palm supported her body. Chapter 102. Sheng Xiao knew that Mu Tongxue was also in the hospital, but since he could not let her know about their relationship, Sheng Xiao simply closed the door to the operating room and let no one enter. Then, he held Mu Chi-Chi in his arms. Mu Chi-Chi tugged at Sheng Xiao's shirt and cried in his arms. She would never see this person again, no matter how much she hated him. 2 of her family members had passed away at the age of 18, and one of them was her dearest relative. At that thought, Sheng Xiao hugged Mu Chi-Chi even tighter with his arms. Su Zipei turned to see Mu Chi-Chi crying. She slowly stopped crying and patted her shoulder. Your mother is so badly hurt. Even if she survives, it would be a fate worse than death. It's better to leave, at least she won't have to suffer. Mu Chi-Chi nodded. Apart from dealing with your mother's funeral, there's one more thing. We have to find out the truth behind the fire. Mu Qiqi struggled out of Sheng Zhao's arms. She stayed quiet for a few seconds before turning to Su Zipei. Aunt Zipei, I want to see Mu Tongxue. Su Zipei understood what Mu Qiqi meant and looked at Sheng Xiao. Sheng Xiao looked down at Mu Qiqi and nodded. Go. Be careful. I'll take care of the aftermath. Mu Qiqi let go of Sheng Zhao's waist and held Su Zipei instead. Like mother and daughter, they walked to the emergency room with the same anger. Meanwhile, Mu Tongxue was getting an intravenous drip. Sister. Mu Qiqi did not give her a chance to speak. She dragged her from the bed and onto the floor. Mu Tongxue fell on the floor. Tears streamed down her face. She could not resist at all. The nurse quickly went up to Mu Qiqi and stopped her. What are you doing? The patient is badly hurt. Mu Qiqi looked down at Mu Tongxue and pinched her chin. It's just a serious injury. Why don't you just die? Mu Tongxue was sobbing. It took her a long time to catch her breath. Mommy, how is Mommy? You still have the cheek to ask. Mu Qiqi slammed Mu Tongshua's head against the wooden cabinet. When the nurse saw that, she quickly stepped forward and pushed Mu Qiqi away. I'll call the police if you do that again. Mu Qiqi staggered and almost lost her balance. But when she regained her balance, she said, Mommy has always been biased towards you. Even during the exchange of exam papers, she sacrificed a worthless person like me for you. Even if I hate her, I never thought of doing anything to her. On the other hand, she must have never thought that the person she loves the most would send her to hell with her own hands. Right? Sister, what happened to Mommy really has nothing to do with me. No matter how cruel I am, I would never do anything to Mommy. Mu Tongxue cried. You know very well whether you did it or not. But listen up, Mu Tongxue. You better promise me that no one will find any evidence, just like what happened to Grandma. Otherwise, I will definitely kill you. Mu Tongxue was sobbing uncontrollably. The nurse tried to help her up several times, but she could not stand up. But at this time, Mu Qiqi said to her, Aren't you going to see Mommy one last time? At least, I want you to remember Mommy's unrecognizable face. I want you to be afraid. Mu Tongxue struggled to stand up. With the help of the nurse, she slowly walked out of the emergency room. Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei followed behind Mu Tongxue. The journey to the operating room felt like a century for her. Finally, they arrived at the door of the operating room. Mu Tongxue looked inside. When she saw Mama Mu lying on the bed, she was so scared that her legs went weak. She fell to the ground. Mommy, you better remember Mommy's face now. Don't ever forget it. Mu Qiqi was hysterical. Her face was red. Lu Wenhua came after her. He held Su Zipei's shoulder and stopped Mu Qiqi. Qiqi, don't be so agitated. It's not worth it. Mu Qiqi glared hatefully at Mu Tongxue, who was on the ground, and finally kept quiet. Before she left, she said one last thing to Mu Tongxue. I'm afraid we can only be enemies in this life. But the more you want to drag me to hell, the more I won't let you have your way. I'm happy, but what about you? Mu Tongxue was sobbing on the ground. It was obvious that she was very sad. Lu Wenhua brought Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei away when he saw that. After they left the hospital, Mu Qiqi found the place where Sheng Xiao parked his car. The two cars quickly went back to the small mansion. The two women were very sad. Wenhua, about my sister's burial, can I? Leave it to me. Lu Wenhua said to her. Go and lie on the bed for a while. Qiqi. Su Zipei looked at Mu Qiqi worriedly. But Lu Wenhua said to her, Don't worry. Young Master Sheng is here. It's useless no matter what you say. Su Zipei nodded. She was very confused. Especially the secret that Mama Mu told her at the end. It was about Mu Qiqi's identity. She had to find time to verify it. Zipei, the dead are gone. You have to accept it. Don't worry. No matter how much I hate the Mu family, I won't be like them. Let's see what that bastard will say when he comes back. After that, Su Zipei went back to her room. Sheng Xiao, who was standing behind Mu Qiqi, carried her in his arms and walked out of the small mansion. Mu Qiqi was in Sheng Xiao's arms. She was lying on his chest. She was talking nonsense. Xiao Xiao, you haven't had any peace ever since you got together with me, right? Sheng Xiao's handsome face was tense. He did not say anything. Instead, he brought Muchichi back to their new home as fast as he could. Since you know that I haven't had any peace, you should make it up to me now. Sheng Xiao carried Muchichi into the bedroom. He put her on the bed and tore her clothes. Muchichi did not resist. She just watched as the man pressed her down. Sheng Xiao saw that she had no reaction. So he carried her and put her on the dressing table. Muchichi had nowhere to vent her pain. She felt Sheng Xiao's thrusting into her. So she bit his shoulder. Sheng Xiao did not stop. He did it again and again. He used all kinds of positions that he had never tried before. He left all kinds of marks on her body, until she went limp and fainted. After that, Sheng Xiao cleaned the marks on her body gently. Then, he put her on the bed and covered her with the blanket. Little one, what should I do to make you not sad? After a moment of silence, Sheng Xiao said, Sleep well. I will always be here. Because he knew that Muchichi was in trouble. But there was no way to comfort her when she lost her mother. Now he just wanted Muchichi to sweat and have a good sleep. Chapter 103. On the other hand, Su Zipei was lying on the bed. Her face was pale, and her eyes were filled with sadness. Lu Wenhua sat beside her bed. He held her hand and comforted her. It has already happened. Don't think too much about it. You should think more about Muchichi. There was a time when I hated her so much. But now she died a horrible death. Forget it. Let me help you lie down. Su Zipei nodded. She looked at Lu Wenhua. Suddenly, she remembered what Mama Mu told her before she died. She asked her to investigate Shin Jianxuan. But she knew nothing about Shin Jianxuan. So before she lay down, she asked Lu Wenhua. Wenhua, do you know Shin Jianxuan? Why not? He is the young master of the Shin family. He is a playboy. He used to be brothers with that bastard Mu. But he got into trouble and got into a fight with someone. Then he became a vegetable. Now he is lying in the hospital. So, it is normal that you have never heard of him. Why are you asking about him? Nothing. Su Zipei shook her head. Then she lay down. Although she did not know what happened between Mama Mu and Shin Jianxuan, she had to find out the truth since her sister had such a question. After Mama Mu's funeral, she would investigate the hospital where the man was admitted to. Then, she would find out about Muchichi's identity. Have a good rest. I will take care of the hospital. Thank you, Wenhua. Actually, she felt more at ease with this man by her side. At least, she had someone to rely on when something like this happened. A day had passed since the incident. Papa Mu rushed to the hospital in the evening, looking travel-worn. The mansion was burnt and Mama Mu was charred. The first thing Papa Mu did when he entered the hospital was to identify Mama Mu's body. Papa Mu looked serious when he saw the mutilated body. Then, he went to Mu Tongshua's ward. Dad! Mu Tongxue ran to her father when she saw him. It's okay, Shuer. Papa Mu hugged Mu Tongxue and comforted her. It's all over now. Mommy. But Mommy. I know everything. I've gone to see your mommy. Papa Mu's eyes reddened. It was as if he could feel the pain and suffering of being a married couple for more than 10 years. Your mommy is not blessed. Sigh. Dad, I want to save Mommy, but the door won't open. Do you know what's going on? I can't open the door. Dad is on a business trip. How could he know the details? We need to listen to the police's description. Papa Mu immediately defended himself. In fact, Mu Tongshua's question meant that she had thought about saving Mama Mu. She wanted to fulfill her wish, but all she wanted was for Mama Mu to be hurt. She never really wanted things to turn out like this. However, she could not open the door no matter how hard she tried. If it wasn't for her father, she really couldn't think of any other reason why things would turn out this way. However, she was the one who gave Papa Mu a perfect alibi. He had left the country. If this incident was determined to be an accident, then it would be fine. But if it was caused by someone, then it would be her responsibility. She never imagined that her father would be so ruthless. It's fine. Everything is fine now. Mu Tongxue clenched her fists. She knew that staying by her father's side was like asking a tiger for its skin. If there was a conflict of interest, the man in front of her would definitely sacrifice himself. It seemed that she had to find evidence of her father's involvement in the fire. Otherwise, how could she escape? I'll give your mother a proper burial. She's a pitiful person after all. I don't think Aunt Zipe would let us touch Mommy again. How could we? After all, we didn't divorce. Why did he not let Su Zipe touch Mama Mu's body? Wasn't it simple? He was afraid that Su Zipe would find out about the details. Therefore, even though Mu Tongxue and her father appeared to be a loving father and filial daughter, both of them were harboring their own agendas. Soon Mu Tongxue left the hospital. When she arrived at the police station, the police handed Mama Mu's belongings to them. 2 rings and a pair of earrings. Take a look. Is there anything else? Mu Tongxue burst into tears at once. But she took Mama Mu's belongings from the police. I'm sorry for your loss. The police are still investigating the cause of the accident. We'll give you an accurate answer when the time comes. Thank you, officer. Mu Tongxue took the rings. Then, the father and daughter went to Grandpa Mu's house. Grandpa Mu could not help but sigh when he heard that Mama Mu was burned to death. Grandpa Mu even called Papa Mu into his study. He asked him, how did Ziqing die? There was a fire in the house. I know that Ziqing asked you for a divorce. I heard that you agreed to it without hesitation. That's not your style. Did you know that Ziqing? Father, don't talk nonsense. Papa Mu interrupted Grandpa Mu. I just came back from Japan. Grandpa Mu snorted coldly. He pointed at Papa Mu's chest and said, if I find out that you're related to this incident, don't blame me for turning against you. Father, you've misunderstood me. Mu Tongxue was outside their study. She heard their conversation. Even Grandpa Mu did not believe in Papa Mu's innocence. Not to mention Mu Tongxue. But now Mu Qiqi and Su Zipe were sure that she was the one who killed her mother. How could she prove her innocence? At that thought, Mu Tongxue clenched the relic in her hand, her mind recalling her mommy's burnt face. 1 day and 1 night passed. Mu Qiqi did not wake up even once. She only had nightmares and talked in her sleep. Sheng Xiao stayed by her bedside for the whole day. Su Zipe rested for the whole morning. Then she went to her new house. She found Sheng Xiao in the study. They talked about some confidential matters. Young Master Sheng, I can't find anyone else to talk about this. I can only ask for your help. Tell me. Sheng Xiao did not forget that he had made his niece unable to get out of bed. Do you know Shen Jianchuan? Shen Jianchuan. Of course I know him. The Shen family used to visit us when I was young, but he has been in a vegetative state for many years. Sheng Xiao replied. Why do you ask? Is the Shen family close to the Sheng family? Of course. According to seniority, I call Shen Jianchuan big brother. Qiqi might be Shen Jianchuan's daughter. Su Zipe could not care about anything else. She could only talk to Sheng Xiao now. Sheng Xiao's eyes widened when he heard that. Aunt Su, you can't joke about this. You should know that Mu Qiqi has to call me uncle if what you said is true. What? They are related by blood? Not really. It's just that the 2 families have always been close. Sheng Xiao explained. That's good. So, the most important thing now is to find out if there is such a thing. Sheng Xiao nodded at Su Zipe's words. I will find a chance to arrange it. But the truth was that if Mu Qiqi really had such a close relationship with the Shen family as Su Zipe said, he would be Mu Qiqi's uncle. He would not care if he was an uncle or a brother. He would just be a senior in the family. Chapter 104. But young Master Sheng, if Mu Tongxue really is a member of the Shen family, Mu Tongxue would definitely be one as well. If Mu Qiqi's identity is exposed, Mu Tongxue's identity would be exposed as well. Wouldn't it be the same as the Mu family then? Su Zipe was worried that Mu Qiqi would be treated the same way as the Mu family. But Sheng Xiao shook his head. I know the Shen family. If Mu Qiqi is really a member of the Shen family, she would not be mistreated at all. I would teach Mu Qiqi the personalities and taboos of the Shen family. Moreover, Grandpa Shen is a righteous man who is famous in the military. He would certainly be able to tell right from wrong. That's good. But not everyone in the Shen family is good. They would have to ask for my permission if they want to bully Mu Qiqi. I'm relieved to hear that. What Su Zipe was worried about was that the truth about her parentage was just the beginning of another nightmare for her. She would rather keep it a secret, and no one would be able to dig it out. I'll give you an answer in 3 days. After all, it would not be too much trouble for the Sheng family to approach the Shen family. Then Muchichi. She's still sleeping. She hasn't woken up since she came back yesterday, Sheng Xiao said nonchalantly. Su Zipei was naturally relieved to leave Muchichi in Sheng Xiao's care. Still, there was no telling what would happen to the child without Sheng Xiao's support. If that's the case, I'm going back. Please take good care of Muchichi, young Master Sheng. I still have to go to the Mu family. Please go. Sheng Xiao propped himself up and saw Su Zipei out of the mansion. Then he gave Jing Yin a call. Jing Yin, go to the hospital and get Xin Jinchuan's hair. Make sure it's his. Young master, old master asked about you not coming back to Huang Yao today. Jing Yin sounded the alarm. He might cause trouble for you. What? Haven't you gotten used to my personality after so many years? Sheng Xiao snorted coldly. I'll handle it. Just do as I say. Hurry. Understood, young master. After the call, Sheng Xiao returned to the bedroom and saw that Muchichi was still sleeping soundly. He found Muchichi's hair on the pillow and put it in a small transparent bag. Muchichi was completely unaware of everything that was happening before her, unaware that her life was about to change dramatically. After doing all this, Sheng Xiao picked her up from the bed with the blanket. Only he knew how reluctant he was to part with her. However, it was better to be a member of the Shen family than the Mu family. It was the Shen family. As long as they did not expose their relationship, he could do whatever he wanted. It was better than being the daughter of the enemy, although it was not much better to be her uncle. Hence, Muchichi woke up in Sheng Xiao's arms. She was puzzled when she saw that her body was suspended in the air. Xiao, what's wrong? Since you're awake, get up. Sheng Xiao put her down and got up. However, when Muchichi tried to prop herself up, she found that her limbs were sore and weak. It was probably a side effect of having too much sex. Muchichi didn't expect that Sheng Xiao would nibble her all over under such circumstances. I can't get up. At that moment, Muchichi's eyes were red and she looked shy. Moreover, she was naked, which made Muchichi feel even more embarrassed. Although Sheng Xiao was very familiar with her body now, Sheng Xiao smiled faintly and carried Muchichi over his shoulder. Then he put her on the washstand. Muchichi was very repulsed, thinking that Sheng Xiao was going to ask for her again. Sheng Xiao laughed mockingly and pressed her shoulder. Do you think that I would still have the desire to sin when you look like this? Muchichi turned around and looked at herself in the mirror. Her body was covered in bruises. There was almost no part of her that was intact. Then she thought of Mama Mu. Mommy, she's gone. She'll never come back. What you should think about now is to bury her well and send her on her last journey. Sheng Xiao took off the towel and gently wiped Muchichi's face. I'll look down on you if you keep thinking about what's in the past and what's gone. Muchichi shook her head. Although she was upset, she knew very well that it was the Mu family who caused it. Where's Aunt Zipei? She went to meet the Mu family. I heard that they refused to let Aunt Su take your mother's body away. Xiao, send me there too. Muchichi's eyes suddenly became resolute. She could not do anything else because her power was limited, but she would not allow anyone from the Mu family to touch her mommy's body, especially not Mu Tongxue. The Mu family's house had been burnt down. It could not be repaired in a short time. So Su Zipei went to Mu Group directly. She wanted to meet Papa Mu directly, but the receptionist of Mu Group would not let her in. Papa Mu was guilty. Even if he was not, he would not let Su Zipei cause a scene in the company. So Su Zipei could only contact Grandpa Mu, because Mu Tongxue had no other place to hide now. She took a taxi to the Mu family's house. Su Zipei asked the guard to pass the message. She thought that Grandpa Mu might not want to see her, but to her surprise, Grandpa Mu agreed to it. Mu Tongxue was staying in Grandpa Mu's house. She looked at Su Zipei. Both of them had complicated feelings. Zipei, I'm sorry about Ziqing. I'm sorry for your loss. Grandpa Mu sat in the middle of the living room and said to Su Zipei. Su Zipei walked up to Grandpa Sheng and bowed to him. Then she said, I'm here today because of my sister's body. Since my sister and brother-in-law have divorced, we will naturally take my sister's body away and bury her properly. However, I heard that brother-in-law doesn't seem to be willing to give in. Zipei, I'm afraid I can't make the decision on this matter. Everyone in the Mu family abandoned my sister after the exchange of the exam papers. They even wanted my sister to be the scapegoat and take all the blame. Am I right? Su Zipei knew that Grandpa Mu would not give in easily, so she could only bring up the past. My sister cried out in the detention center, but the Mu family ignored her. In the end, it was my lawyer who helped my sister to get a lighter sentence. Is that right? That's right. But Chapter 105. Grandpa Mu's expression changed when he heard that. He looked at Su Zipei in shock. It was an accident. Whether it was an accident or not, the police can investigate it thoroughly. And Su Zipei pointed at Mu Tongxue and said to Grandpa Mu, I believe that no one knows better than her what happened that night. It's just like how old Madam died in your bedroom in this house. She knows it too. Grandpa Mu nodded. The police can't pry her mouth open now, but one day she will talk. By then, I look forward to the Mu family killing her again. Mu Tongshue's face turned pale when she heard the word killing. Zipei, you have said so much based on your own speculation. Where is the evidence? Grandpa Mu pretended to be calm and looked at Su Zipei. If you don't have any evidence, don't you know that I can sue you for slander? You can sue me. Let's see if your son is accurate. Su Zipei sneered. I don't want to talk nonsense. Anyway, my sister is dead. Nobody knows what happened that night except for Mu Tongxue. You should let us go now. So in order to not make a big deal out of this, you should return my sister's body to me. If that scum still wants to keep my sister's body, then I can only make a big deal out of it. I just want to know, after what happened with the exam papers, can the Mu family still take it? This is one disaster after another. Are you threatening me? Grandpa Mu asked Su Zipei in shock. Yes, I am threatening you. I am alone now. What can't I do? Su Zipei said coldly. Grandpa Mu snorted coldly, but in the end he nodded and said, I will discuss this with my unfilial son, but you have to give me some time. It's just a phone call. How long do you need? Well, you should give me an answer before 6 o'clock. Su Zipei was not that soft. After going through all these messy things, the thought of Mu Qiqi being without anyone to rely on made her like a suit of armor. And she learned to move forward bravely. The old man's expression didn't look good, but he still nodded. All right. Then I'll have to trouble you today. After that, Su Zipei stood up and bowed to Grandpa Mu again. Then she turned around and looked at Mu Tongxue coldly. As for you, you will know the difference between you and Mu Qiqi one day. Mu Tongxue looked at Mu Tongxue coldly. With that, Su Zipei left the Mujia. But when she reached downstairs, she saw Mu Qiqi who was waiting for her. Aunt, you're up? Su Zipei pulled Mu Qiqi into the car. Don't worry. I will handle this matter well. I will not let the father and daughter show their dirty faces in front of my sister again. Don't go and meet them. They are just a bunch of trash. I don't believe that Grandpa Mu would not know what his son has done. Mu Qiqi's heart was filled with anger. Don't you worry. And your grandmother's death. I think Grandpa Mu is doing this on purpose. He knows how evil Mu Tongxue is, but he still thinks that you are the murderer. He doesn't want to know who is right or wrong, so you don't have to worry about it. Mu Tongxue said. Mu Qiqi looked at Su Zipei. She felt emotional when she saw how her aunt was protecting her. Although her mother had passed away, she still had her aunt. Aunt, I feel safe with you by my side. Since you feel safe, go and pursue your happiness. Young Master Sheng will help you deal with all the obstacles in front of you. As for the trouble behind you, just leave it to me. Mu Qiqi's eyes turned red when she heard what Su Zipei said. She hugged Su Zipei. Don't worry, Aunt. You protected me today. I will protect you in the future. She looked at Mu Qiqi and thought about Mu Tongxue. One was loyal, while the other was heartless. She really didn't know why there was such a big difference between twins. However, now wasn't the time for her to think about these things, apart from finding Mama Mu's body. She and Sheng Xiao had to figure out Mu Qiqi's identity as soon as possible. After Su Zipei left the Mu family, Grandpa Mu looked at Mu Tongxue. He remembered Su Zipei's reminder just now, so he called Mu Tongxue to him. Shuer, come here. Grandpa. Come here. I won't do anything to you. I just want to know what happened on the night of the fire. Mu Tongxue shook her head and burst into tears. Grandpa, I really don't know why I woke up in the middle of the night, because of the thick smoke. Then, I got up immediately and opened the window. I wanted to push the door open to see how Mommy was doing. But, I couldn't open the door no matter how hard I tried. I could vaguely hear Mommy's voice. She was asking me not to come out. I was scared. I called the police immediately. But I couldn't find my phone. Then the police came. They asked me to jump down from the building. But I was so useless. I fainted after jumping down. If I didn't faint, I might not have missed the time when the police came to save Mommy. Grandpa Mu nodded and said, If what you said is true, then your mother told you not to go out because she wanted to save you. The fire spread from the kitchen. The living room and the staircase must be surrounded by fire. And your room is the furthest from the kitchen. So it makes sense. Grandpa Mu nodded and said, That's right. Shwe, are you sure about what you told me today? Grandpa, I swear. If I lied today, I will be struck by lightning. Grandpa Mu nodded and gave up. If that's the case, it's appropriate to let your aunt handle the body. It was up to Mu Tongxue to decide whether she was telling the truth or lying. Of course, she could not tell the truth to Grandpa Mu, because she knew that the father and the son were in contact. If she said that she suspected her father, Grandpa Mu would definitely question Papa Mu. She did not know what Papa Mu would do to her if that happened. Suzy Pei's words were a good reminder. Silencing her. Could she not learn her lesson from her mommy's tragic death? Then Mu Tongxue went back to her room. She took out her mommy's belongings. Her mommy never left her hands. But at that moment Mu Tongxue saw something carved on the inside of the ring. Chapter 106. Xinjianchuan? Come to think of it, she remembered that her mother had been wearing the ring ever since she could remember. She had never taken it off. Could Xinjianchuan be her mother's first love? It was not strange that the Mu sisters did not know about Xinjianchuan. When Papa Mu and Xinjianchuan were brothers, they were not even born yet. After that, Xinjianchuan became a vegetable. Papa Mu felt that there was no need to mention him. So the sisters had never heard about him. Could it be that Mommy had been secretly longing for her first love all these years? No matter what, her mother had passed away. There was no need to look into the past anymore. So, Mu Tongxue did not tell anyone about Xinjianchuan's name in the ring. She was more worried about how to protect herself now. Suzy Pei gave Grandpa Mu a time limit of 6 o'clock in the evening. It seemed that her aunt had made up her mind to get her mother's body back. But from her point of view, it was better for her father to deal with her mother's body. Although she was used in this matter, she was still afraid that others would find out about it. So when she heard her grandpa calling her father, she hid behind the door and eavesdropped. Grandpa Mu wanted to let Suzy Pei bury her mother's body, since she was dead. Otherwise, no one knew what Suzy Pei would do if she was provoked. But Papa Mu did not care. Father, let's not talk about the fact that she has no power or background. Even if she has, can't I deal with her? You can't just give in whenever Mu Group is in trouble. Do you care about our reputation? Grandpa Mu felt that what he said made sense. But, he felt that it was better not to provoke Suzy Pei and Mu Qiqi. He never thought that Papa Mu would cremate Mama Mu's corpse on his own. In just a few minutes, a complete person was reduced to ashes. At 6 o'clock in the evening, Suzy Pei called Grandpa Mu to ask for the result. But Grandpa Mu stuttered. He could not say anything for a long time. Suzy Pei understood what Grandpa Mu meant. Finally she said, It seems like you want to die together with us? Zipei, I have tried my best, but that bastard has cremated and buried her. The old master sighed and finally answered. Hearing this, Suzy Pei was instantly enraged. Bastard. Scum. I won't let this go. After hanging up, Suzy Pei was so angry that she burst into tears. At that moment, Mu Qiqi was right beside her. Aunt, I heard everything. He clearly has a guilty conscience. This makes me even more suspicious that your mother's death is not as simple as it seems. Even if it's not simple now, there's no way to prove it. Mu Qiqi told Suzy Pei, but her expression was calmer than Suzy Pei had imagined. Qiqi, since Mommy has buried her, let's just let her be. But, Mu Qiqi raised her head, and looked at Suzy Pei. I want that bastard to pay the most painful price. Isn't he afraid that his uncles will take over the management of Mu Group? Let's help him make his dream come true. How? Suzy Pei asked Mu Qiqi. She looked serious. Of course, she agreed with Mu Qiqi's suggestion. Aunt, have you forgotten that you have 10% of Mu Group shares? Mu Qiqi said to Suzy Pei. Let's work with third uncle or youngest uncle. With that in mind, Mu Qiqi gave Sheng Xiao a call. After all, she did not know much about the business world. Sheng Xiao heard her suggestion and smiled. Then he said, My little one, do you know how to take revenge? Xiao Xiao, is it possible? Of course. Aunt Su has 10% of the shares, and your uncles have 8% each. Although Grandpa Mu still has 20% of the shares, it is still possible for him to replace the CEO. After all, the board of directors is a voting system. Of course, we need to add some spice to it. What Sheng Xiao meant was that the other uncles of the Mu family had been coveting Papa Mu's management for a long time. They just needed to communicate with them and form an alliance. But before that, they had to release some information to the media. They had to exaggerate the cause of Mama Mu's death. They had to add some human factors into the story, so that the media would not be able to find any evidence. Moreover, the shareholders would be very disappointed with Papa Mu because of the exam paper incident. If they betrayed him now, it would be a horrible ending. Both Mu Qiqi and Suzy Pei agreed with Sheng Xiao's arrangement. As long as they could make that bastard pay the price, they would let go of their kindness and their bottom line. Qiqi, Uncle Lu and I will be the most suitable person to deal with your uncles. You are related to that bastard by blood. I am afraid that your uncles will think that it is risky to form an alliance. Suzy Pei said to Mu Qiqi. You and young Master Sheng will deal with the media. He has connections, and you have literary talent. You can make the story more interesting. Maybe the police will think that it is really suspicious, and will put in a lot of effort to investigate. Mu Qiqi nodded after listening to Suzy Pei's arrangement. Aunt Zipei, this arrangement is perfect. Suzy Pei smiled and reached out to stroke Mu Qiqi's head. She sighed. You don't look like a member of the Mu family, no matter how I look at you. I am no longer a member of the Mu family. Have you forgotten, Nancy Pei? Mu Qiqi did not understand what Suzy Pei meant, because Sheng Xiao was still investigating the matter. Huang Yao. Sheng Xiao walked out of the meeting room nobly after the meeting. Jing Yin came to him. Young master, it's done. Sheng Xiao took out a transparent bag from his black suit and handed it to Jing Yin. Do a DNA test. Well, if I tell you to go, then go. Jing Yin did as he was told since it was Sheng Xiao's arrangement. He did not have to go into details to know who the DNA test belonged to. Young master, is it only Miss Mu Qiqi? Do you want to compare the other one as well? Jing Yin meant Mu Tongxue. Sheng Xiao paused and turned to look at him in confusion. Actually, there are some clues from comparing Miss Mu Qiqi and the other girl's personality. Miss Mu Qiqi and the Mu family do not have similar personalities at all. But Mu Tongxue is different. She is vicious and calculative. That is why it is better to investigate her. Chapter 107. Young Master. It's no longer unusual for triplets to have 3 fathers, Jing Yin explained. Jing Yin explained. Even medicine can't give an accurate diagnosis of heredity. How could a normal person imagine it? In fact, Jing Yin was right. Mu Qiqi's personality was too similar to the Shen family, especially Grandpa Shen. Even Shen Jianchuan himself was a playful person, but at least he was kind, loyal, and brave. But Mu Tongxue, if Jing Yin's prediction was true, things would get interesting. Then how do you plan to get the specimen? Sheng Xiao raised a brow at Jing Yin. Actually, it's easy. I just need a friend from the police station to help me. Be quick, Sheng Xiao ordered. Suddenly, Sheng Xiao was very curious about the result. It would be exciting for the Shen family when the time comes. Of course, Sheng Xiao did not mention it to Suzy Pei before the result was out. After all, it was just Jing Yin's conjecture. It was just a DNA test. It would never go wrong. In fact, Suzy Pei and Mu Qiqi could not stay idle either. It was the first time they were planning their revenge, which was why they stayed in the study for the whole day, to come up with all sorts of deductions, so that there would not be any loopholes in every step. At 10 o'clock, Sheng Xiao came to the little mansion from Huang Yao. He had planned to bring Mu Qiqi back to her new home. But he suddenly laughed when he saw how serious Mu Qiqi was about killing Papa Mu. In the end, one must go through trials and tribulations to make a person grow. Then I'll go to your third uncle tomorrow. It's safer to go to her youngest uncle. Although her third uncle has shown a strong desire to seize the management rights, and an alliance is not out of the question, he might ruin things. After all, people who can show their desires will be guarded against. Do you understand? Sheng Xiao interrupted the conversation between the two of them. But, I know. You're afraid that her youngest uncle won't agree. Sheng Xiao sat down beside Mu Qiqi and answered. That's because youngest uncle is a smart man. He wants to reap the benefits of others. Now that such a good opportunity has been presented to him, he won't say no. Trust me. Su Zipei nodded with Sheng Xiao's analysis. I'll listen to you, young Master Sheng. As for the paparazzi, I won't use my real identity to contact you. Mu Qiqi interrupted him. Because things like public opinion might backfire, so I have to disguise myself, especially as a witness who might be related to the fire that night. Sheng Xiao patted her head and nodded. You've learned your lesson. You've taught me well. Mu Qiqi looked at him and answered firmly. Since that's the case, then it's decided. Aunt Su, I'll take him away. All right, be careful on the road. Su Zipei smiled when she saw how much Sheng Xiao loved Mu Qiqi. It was probably the only thing that warmed her heart these few days. Although they had been going through a lot of hardships, at least there were people who could support and accompany her and Qiqi. Thinking of this, Su Zipei called Lu Wenhua. Lu Wenhua agreed without hesitation. School hadn't started yet, so he still had a few days of free time. However, once school started, he would be a little busier. Su Zipei understood all that. Xiao Xiao, you're not reserved at all in front of my aunt. After getting into the car, Mu Qiqi felt uncomfortable when she thought of Su Zipei's gaze. Do you think she didn't see the marks on your body? Sheng Xiao couldn't help but mock her. She's already experienced it. Don't tell me she can't see it? Mu Qiqi lowered her head and saw the marks on her collarbone. She quickly covered it. I forgot about it. Su Zipei did not have any reaction because she used to be with that scumbag when she was still a teenager. She had been with that scumbag for so many years. Although nothing good happened in the end, she knew that Mu Qiqi was an adult now. She had made her own choices. Even if it was wrong, she would support her to the end. But she knew very well that Mu Qiqi would not change. No matter how the environment changed, she would not change. Idiot. Although everything is in place now, I can't breathe a sigh of relief. Because I know that scumbag might make a comeback until the very last moment. He won't make a mistake. Mu Qiqi remembered her mother's tragic death, and she could not let it go. As for Mu Tongxue, as long as that scumbag is gone, she won't be able to stir up trouble anymore. That's not necessarily true, Sheng Xiao said with a hidden meaning. After all, when the DNA test came out, if she was really a Shun, Mu Tongxue would definitely have bad intentions. But it was not easy to enter the Shun family, was it not? Moreover, there was still the possibility that Jing Yun mentioned. If Mu Qiqi was a Shun, Mu Tongxue would never imagine that she and Mu Qiqi were twins and had two fathers. When that happened, the Shun family would not admit her identity. Just thinking about it was exciting. Xiao Xiao, are you in a good mood tonight? Mu Qiqi could not help relaxing when she saw the smile on Sheng Xiao's lips. You don't have to know about it for now. I will tell you when I have the chance. Sheng Xiao kept her in suspense. But when they reached the villa, Sheng Xiao did not open the door and get out of the car. What's wrong? In the car, we haven't tried it yet. Sheng Xiao looked at Mu Qiqi. His eyes were burning with passion. Mu Qiqi remembered how fierce he was yesterday. She quickly got out of the car. She still had to save her energy for something else. This man's stamina and ability were too shocking. The corners of Sheng Xiao's lips curled up into a beautiful smile, with a hint of playfulness and recklessness. Sometimes, teasing this little thing was a very pleasant thing. She was running like a rabbit now. But it was fine. One day, he would catch the little one, and she would not be able to run away. Late at night, Papa Mu finally returned to Grandpa Sheng's house. He saw Grandpa Sheng waiting for him in the living room with a serious look on his face. He walked up to him and asked casually, "Dad, you're not asleep yet? Why did you cremate my daughter-in-law?" Grandpa Mu asked Papa Mu sternly, "Dad, I've already told you the reason on the phone. Are you still afraid of a woman? I've already cremated her and buried her. What can she do to me? All she can do is stomp her feet." Papa Mu looked a little arrogant. After all, there was no evidence. And with Mu Tongshua's protection, he could do whatever he wanted now. "You better pray that she only stomps her feet. You will regret it if she does anything else." Chapter 108. Papa Mu never thought that Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei would really fight back. Perhaps he never thought that he was heartless or malicious. But to Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei, he was just like Mu Tongxue. He did not leave them any hope at all. So that night, Mu Qiqi stayed in the study of her new home and wrote a long draft. She had to make it look real, so that the audience would be convinced. It was 11 at night. Sheng Xiao reached for the spot beside him and found that Mu Qiqi was not in the bedroom. He quickly got up and went to the study. When he saw Mu Qiqi sitting under the night light, he walked up to her and carried her horizontally. "Xiao Xiao, who allowed you to enter the study?" Sheng Xiao's voice was cold. "I'm just borrowing it. I didn't go through your things. It's 11. Don't you know that I'll be looking for you everywhere when I wake up?" Sheng Xiao carried her back to the bedroom and put her on the bed, pressing her between his arms. "Do you have to be so serious? The media is better at making things up than you are." Mu Qiqi lowered her head at Sheng Xiao's words, a little disappointed. "I'm useless, aren't I? I can only do things that won't help. It's commendable to work hard and have a serious attitude. However, you have to make good use of resources, know their strengths, and make full use of their advantages. You can't do anything well just because you try your best. There are specializations in every field, understand?" Sheng Xiao explained seriously. Mu Qiqi nodded. "Xiao Xiao, I understand what you mean. Go to sleep then." Sheng Xiao moved away from her and pulled the blanket for her. "Get in." Mu Qiqi obediently got under the blanket and lay down. Then she asked, "Xiao Xiao, can I use the script I've written? Only the people involved understand that feeling the most. That's why it could trigger everyone's passion." Sheng Xiao reached out and pulled her into his arms. "All right, but you're always by my side. That's the most useful thing for me." "Xiao Xiao, your body is starting to heat up again. Are you? That's why you should stop doing things that would make me hot," Sheng Xiao warned. Mu Qiqi did not dare to say anything else, and simply curled up in his arms, not daring to move her limbs. She was afraid that she would accidentally ignite his body. The next morning, Su Zipei and Lu Wenhua went to visit Mu Qiqi's youngest uncle. He was the youngest son of the Mu family. However, Grandpa Mu did not dote on him. Although he owned 8% of Mu Group's shares and lived a luxurious life, his ambition was to run a company. All these years, although he did not show his desire for the Mu Group, the people around him knew about his ambition. Uncle Mu was surprised to see Su Zipei and Lu Wenhua. He asked his wife to make some tea, and they chatted on the lawn. "A rare guest. Isn't this my second brother's sister-in-law? I'm really curious, how did you find this place?" Uncle Mu Xiao was very tall and thin. Looking at his posture, he did look a little lazy and leisurely. He didn't look like someone in charge. "I guess Mr. Mu Xiao must have heard about my sister being burned to death. My main purpose of coming here today is to form an alliance with you." She went straight to the point and said, Do you want the management rights of Mu Group?" Mu Xiao smiled and answered Su Zipei. "Miss Su, it seems like you want to take revenge for your sister?" "Yes. I'm curious, Miss Su. Why did you come to me? I have 2 brothers ahead of me. Because I believe that once Mu Group is in your hands, no one will be able to take it away from you. As long as you agree to form an alliance, I will vote for you during the board meeting to dismiss the CEO. Moreover, after that, I will give you 10% of Mu Group's shares. This is a win-win situation for you." Mu Xiao laughed when he heard what Su Zipei said. "I can't just ask for a board meeting to dismiss my second brother for no reason, can I?" We have already found an excuse for you. You just need to form an alliance. Looking at Su Zipei's expression, he could tell that she really hated Papa Mu. Miss Su, since you hate my second brother so much, could it be that he had something to do with second sister-in-law's death? My sister is dead. Not only does he not have to give me half of his assets, he can even marry another wife and have children. Wouldn't you be suspicious if you were him? Moreover, he buried my sister's body without my consent. If he was innocent, why would he be so anxious? Mu Xiaodi listened and nodded. It seems to make sense. If that's the case, it's just as you said. I won't miss such a good opportunity. But we should form an alliance, so that you won't go back on your words. Otherwise, if you go back on your words, I will offend my second brother. Wouldn't I lose more than I gain? Actually, it was great for Su Zipei that Mu Xiao was willing to sign the alliance. It was a guarantee for both of them. That's exactly what I want. Both of them signed the contract. Then the alliance was formed. There will be some troubles in Mu Group after this. If that bastard asks you about it, just pretend that you don't know anything. Then we will give that bastard a good beating. I will listen to you, Miss Su. It was said that a man who took revenge was the scariest. But in fact, a woman who took revenge was the scariest. Mu Xiaodi watched Su Zipei and Lu Wenhua leave. He was curious about Lu Wenhua's identity. But Mu Xiaodi's wife knew who he was. He's the vice principal of Eton. You don't even care about the children's education. Of course, you don't know about him. But it also shows that Su Zipei came prepared. Then it will be a good show. The next day, Mu Qiqi and the paparazzi were working together with Su Zipei. According to Sheng Xiao, the paparazzi were very good at making up stories. But Mu Qiqi did not let her guard down. In fact, the paparazzi would not dare to do anything half-heartedly if it was arranged by Jing Yun. Soon, an article titled, "He chose to burn his wife to avoid splitting the family's fortune," became a hot topic on all the major forums. This kind of article touched the nerves of the urban men and women. Once it was published, it attracted a lot of attention. The article was written from an insider's point of view and a secretary's tone. It was about a CEO of an enterprise. Because his wife filed for divorce, he had evil intentions. He burned his wife to death with an accidental fire. He did not allow anyone to take away his wife's body. Once the article was published, it caused a lot of controversy. Not only that, people started to analyze who the people in the article were. Chapter 109. Soon, Mr. C revealed that the CEO of a certain company was involved in an incident a few days ago. The whole country was in an uproar. He reminded everyone that the incident was related to his daughter. This time, a lot of people were able to take their own seats. Isn't he CEO Mu from Mu Group? There was a fire in his house. Moreover, he was in an uproar because the two sisters exchanged the exam papers a few days ago. Now that you mention it, I remember now. If it's true that man is such a scumbag, why didn't the police do anything about it? That post went viral on the internet. The topic itself was a hot topic. Moreover, they had invested a lot of money into it. Hence, Mu Group was naturally pushed to the forefront of the discussion. It only took a day and a night for the incident to develop. Papa Mu was very busy. He did not have time to care about it. But everyone in Mu Group knew about it. Even Mu Tongxue saw the post. So, she showed it to Grandpa Mu. When Grandpa Mu heard about it, he was furious. Schwer, has this matter been blown out of proportion? Grandpa, yes. There are tens of thousands of comments under the post. It's very unpleasant. Mu Tongxue was also frightened. But, she knew that she was not the target of the incident. Grandpa Mu stood up from the sofa and walked to the window with his walking stick. He said to Mu Tongxue, "It seems like that bastard's position as CEO has come to an end." The incident had become a big deal. There were so many people watching Mu Group. How could the shareholders and the brothers of the Mu family do nothing about it? Moreover, that unfilial son, when the exam papers were out, he promised the shareholders that something similar wouldn't happen again. But now, it had only been a few days since he promised. Mu Group was finally on the right track. Now it was going to be a disaster again. Grandpa, Are you going to fire my father? Do you think your father is capable enough to be in that position? Soon, the shareholders of Mu Group called Grandpa Mu. They represented the 4 shareholders and requested for a board meeting. The incident had spread. Now, everyone was scolding Mu Group. Everything was so coincidental. It was too suspicious. Grandpa Mu thought about it for a while and finally, he could only reply. Tomorrow morning at 9 o'clock, Mu Group's meeting room. We will hold a board meeting. When Papa Mu got off work, he felt strange, because everyone was looking at him meaningfully. Moreover, there were a few people who were sneakily following him at the entrance of the company. Papa Mu did not notice it, and the secretary did not dare to tell him. So Papa Mu did not know that he had become a popular person. After entering the house, Grandpa Sheng waited for his son in the living room, just like the night before. Dad, you're not asleep again? Grandpa Mu turned around and sighed. He said to Papa Mu, there will be a board meeting at 9 o'clock tomorrow morning. You're the only one who doesn't know about it now. Why? I don't know why. You might lose your position as the CEO. Grandpa Mu snorted. He turned around and was about to return to his room. But Papa Mu stopped him. What do you mean? Why do you say that? I've warned you before not to mess with Suzy Pei. I told you to hand over Suzy Pei's body, but you didn't listen to me. You made the decision on your own. Now your retribution has come. Go and see what's on the internet. The shareholders don't trust you at all. Everyone is waiting for you to step down, Grandpa Mu said. Then he threw his phone to Papa Mu. Papa Mu looked at the news on the phone. His face changed immediately. Dad, it's slander. If others believe you, then it's not slander. Moreover, it doesn't matter if it's slander or not. It has already caused irreversible damage to Mu Group. Do you think that you still have the right to be in that position? She is a woman, but she can still find ways to deal with you. Do you think that everything will end after burning Suzy Pei's body? Whether it's Suzy Pei now or Mu Qiqi now, she is not someone you can look down on. She has the support of a French tycoon. After saying that, Grandpa Mu went back to his room with the help of his walking stick. Papa Mu finally realized the seriousness of the matter. He called his brothers immediately. He wanted to get some support, but his brothers chose to stay out of it. They would talk about it in the meeting tomorrow. Papa Mu smashed Grandpa Mu's phone. He was furious. He wanted to contact Suzy Pei, but Suzy Pei did not give him any chance to breathe. She pretended that he did not exist. Humph. That bastard must be jumping around at home now, Suzy Pei said to Mu Qiqi as she looked at the missed calls on her phone. Aunt Zipei, he will try to retaliate. Mu Qiqi knew her father very well. Give him one night. I want to see how many shareholders he can meet. I want to see how many things he can offer to negotiate with them. Qiqi, tomorrow, you and Aunt will go together. Of course I will, Mu Qiqi said calmly. Wenhua said that you are the one who wrote that post on the internet. How can you write about feelings if you don't experience it yourself? Mu Qiqi asked Suzy Pei. Suzy Pei saw her teary eyes. She pinched her cheeks. Wait a little longer. We will get our revenge soon. Mu Qiqi nodded. She wanted to see that scum being chased away by everyone tomorrow as well. Why didn't young Master Sheng come to pick you up tonight? Suzy Pei looked at the time. She was surprised that Sheng Xiao rarely worked so late recently. I don't know. Mu Qiqi shook her head. Maybe he is caught up in something. And it was none other than the DNA test results that Jing Yan had sent to him. The results could have been obtained 6 hours after the test. But Sheng Xiao did not have the chance to open it. There was no one in the office now, so he was free. But he did not move for a long time. Young master, is there something you are worried about? Jing Yan asked Sheng Xiao when he saw that. Sheng Xiao crossed his arms and held his forehead. You won't understand this feeling. He was nervous for Mu Qiqi and worried for her. It was all because of his Qiqi. Otherwise, when would the wanton crown prince of Huang Yao show such an expression? Jing Yan had never seen Sheng Xiao like that. It was all thanks to Mu Qiqi. Forget it. Give me the paper bag. In the end, Sheng Xiao decided to accept the truth. After all, he was Mu Qiqi's mental support. Chapter 110. Jing Yan was actually very curious when Sheng Xiao showed him the results of the test. Logically speaking, the two sisters looked very similar, so there shouldn't be such a situation. However, when he was doing the test, he also asked the people at the medical appraisal center and looked up relevant information. Human research on genetics was just the tip of the iceberg. The people at the medical identification center told him that identical twins were very similar. But there were also cases where identical twins were different. Although the probability was very low, it was not unheard of. Similarly, fraternal twins should not be similar. But because the mother's genes were stronger, they inherited more of her genes. So there was a high possibility of them being similar. Jing Yin had looked up the information online. It turned out that there were cases of fraternal twins being very similar. Young master, what's the result? Sheng Xiao put the results on the glass table in front of him. See for yourself. Jing Yin bent down and picked up the results. But before he could say anything, Sheng Xiao spoke first. With that mouth of yours, I'm afraid you could work in the gambling industry. Jing Yin answered Sheng Xiao after reading the results. Because their personalities are too different. Under normal circumstances, identical twins are more similar and stable. Moreover, the people at the medical identification center told me that the difference in determining whether two twins are identical is not limited to their appearance. It also includes their personality, blood type, figure and hair. Now that I think about it, Miss Mu Tongxue and Miss Mu Qiqi are not that similar except for their faces. Especially their personalities. It's just that no one suspected that. Test again. Sheng Xiao was still doubtful after hearing Jing Yin's words. And contact the expert in this field. I want a definite answer. Jing Yin nodded. Yes, I will arrange it as soon as possible. But if the result is the same, what do you plan to do, young master? Let her return to her rightful place since she is a shun. Sheng Xiao said. Because she has a real family. What about Mu Tongxue? If the result is the same, we can make Mu Tongxue think that she is a shun too. Sheng Xiao told Jing Yin. You should know that if Mu Tongxue thinks that she is a shun, will she abandon the Mu family at all costs? With Sheng Xiao's reminder, Jing Yin could already imagine the scene of Mu Tongxue and Papa Mu tearing at each other. If Papa Mu knew that the daughter he had raised for so many years was not his own, his expression would be very interesting. Also, will she think that she has been reborn and can bully Qiqi in a new environment? I understand what you mean, young master. Make her think that she is a member of the Shen family and fall out with the Mu family. She would even shamelessly go to the Shen family's doorstep. In the end, when the truth is made public, all that awaits her is endless humiliation. Jing Yin explained Sheng Xiao's intention. So we have to plan this matter well. After that scum of the Mu clan steps down, we will give him the second big gift. Sheng Xiao's expression relaxed, and there was a hint of laziness amidst his nobility. Of course, we must let Grandpa Shen know about the results of the DNA test. That way, he would not be bewitched by Mu Tongxue. Although the old man of the Shen family was not an ordinary person, he was not a simple person. Well, are you going to tell Miss Mu Tongxue about this now? Sheng Xiao took a deep breath and rose from the sofa at Jing Yin's question. There's no need. She has just suffered the blow of her mother's death. Even so, he had to give Su Zipei an answer. Hence, they agreed on 3 days' time. Soon after nightfall, Sheng Xiao finally drove to the little mansion. When he saw the lights in the dining room, he knew that the two inside were waiting for him. Sheng Xiao got out of the car and slowly walked inside. Mu Qiqi smiled when she saw him. You're finally back, Xiao Xiao. Sheng Xiao looked at her and sat down at the dining table. Are you happy? Tomorrow is the day that scum steps down. Of course I'm happy. Mu Qiqi handed Sheng Xiao a pair of chopsticks. Are you so sure that it would work? Sheng Xiao asked in return. Even if something unexpected happens tomorrow, I'm happy to see that scum in pain right now. Sheng Xiao said nothing else, and reminded Mu Qiqi instead. Let's eat. Young Master Sheng, is there a conclusion to that matter? Su Zipei asked, noticing Sheng Xiao's unusual behavior right in front of Mu Qiqi. Mu Qiqi did a double take, puzzled. What matter? Not yet. Sheng Xiao lowered his head to answer Su Zipei. Wait a little longer. All right. What secret do you two have? Mu Qiqi was reluctant and wanted to keep asking, but Sheng Xiao gave her head a squeeze, almost pushing her face into the rice bowl. After dinner, Sheng Xiao led Mu Qiqi away from the little mansion. On the way home, Mu Qiqi stole several glances at Sheng Xiao. Is there something that even I can't know about? You'll know when the time is right. Some things are more interesting the later you learn about them. Mu Qiqi took a deep breath and nodded. She kept staring at Sheng Xiao's profile, her eyes showing a hint of infatuation. Sheng Xiao ignored her and waited until they reached the entrance of their new home, before locking the car door and turning to look at her. Since you're so infatuated with me, shouldn't you show me something? Mu Qiqi was taken aback. She looked back at Sheng Xiao and asked uncertainly, how? Sheng Xiao smiled with a hint of playfulness and wickedness, and gestured at the back seat with his chin. Mu Qiqi understood at once, and was about to resist, but Sheng Xiao had already lifted her onto his thighs, and pinned her to the steering wheel, so that she couldn't move. Don't you like to peek at me? Aren't you infatuated with me? I'm afraid that someone might pass by. This is our garden. Who would pass by? Sheng Xiao's voice was deep and sexy, tickling Mu Qiqi's heart. She kept feeling that she should resist, but at the same time, she yearned for it. Sheng Xiao didn't give her time to respond. He rolled up the car window, lifted her chin, and kissed her. Mu Qiqi didn't dare to move. She could only let him ignite the passion in her, and her body became more and more uncontrollable. He especially loved the place where the tattoo was, and it was a sensitive spot for most women. Xiao, not here. My limbs are numb. Mu Qiqi was pressed between Sheng Xiao's legs and couldn't move at all. Sheng Xiao's eyes were blurry. He opened the door and carried Mu Qiqi out of the car. Chapter 111. On the other hand, Mu Tongxue was not having a good time. It was not easy for her to reconcile with Papa Mu. They covered for each other about the fire. However, Papa Mu was facing the danger of being dismissed. That night, Papa Mu kept making calls in the living room. Mu Tongxue hid in the corridor. She did not dare to show her face. She was afraid that she would vent her anger on him. Why was it that she tried so hard to please her father? She even lost her mother. But in the end, she did not get anything. Instead, she was losing everything. If her father really lost the management rights of Mu Group, what was the point of the Mu family? If she knew this earlier, she would have so. Her only way out now was to please Grandpa Mu. At least it was better to follow Grandpa Mu than to follow her father. However, she was not free of worries even if she followed Grandpa Mu. Because if the truth about her grandmother was exposed one day, she would become an enemy just like Mu Qiqi. On the other hand, Mu Qiqi was doing very well with the support of a French tycoon. Even Su Zipei had become stronger. She was going to take revenge for her mommy with such a ruthless move. Suddenly Mu Tongxue felt lost. What was her future? After thinking about it, Mu Tongxue kneeled in front of Grandpa Mu when Papa Mu went to work the next morning. What are you doing? Grandpa Mu asked Mu Tongxue. Grandpa, you know that my father likes to abuse me, my sister, and even my mother. If my father is dismissed today, I beg you to protect me. I don't want to be beaten. Grandpa Mu took a deep breath when he heard that. His face darkened. You are a coward. You only know how to hurt your own family. Grandpa. Alright, get up. I will protect you. Grandpa Mu promised Mu Tongxue. It must have been hard on you. You have just experienced a huge change in your family. Hard. After Mama Mu passed away, every time Mu Tongxue felt sad, it was because she did not get any benefits. When did she feel sad? Mama Mu treated her well. But what about Mu Qiqi? Her mother had passed away. She knew that she had to take revenge, even if Mama Mu had never been kind to her. Mu Tongxue only felt assured with the old man's assurance. Of course, in the depths of her heart, it was all because of her own sister Mu Qiqi that the family had come to this state. If Mu Qiqi had lived quietly after she was chased out, the Mu family would not have ended up like this. After all, he was Papa Mu's biological son. Now it was no longer strange for him to have such thoughts. If the upper beam was not upright, how could the lower beam be upright? At this moment in the Mu group, the shareholders' meeting was about to begin. Papa Mu was calm as usual. He arrived at Mu Group early to deal with his daily work, as if nothing had happened. At 8:30 in the morning, more than half of the shareholders in Mu Group's meeting room had already arrived. The secretary was worried about her future when she saw how calm Papa Mu was. "Boss Mu, what? I haven't gotten off the stage yet," Papa Mu said coldly to the secretary. "CEO Mu, the old chairman has arrived. He's in the conference room now." Is that incident still as hot on the internet as before? Papa Mu was not in the mood to care about what was going on in the conference room. He only wanted to know if it was still a hot topic on the internet. "It's still on the hot search list. It hasn't come down yet," the secretary answered Papa Mu timidly. "The public relations department has done something about it. They even called the police. But it's too influential." "I understand. You can leave now." Papa Mu was calm. He sent the secretary away immediately. The secretary nodded and left. She felt depressed and uncomfortable every second that she stayed with Papa Mu. Papa Mu looked at the secretary as she left. He lowered his head and continued to deal with his work. Last night, he had contacted many shareholders. Although he had paid a hefty price, he was sure that more than half of the shareholders still supported him. So, wasn't it too early to talk about removing him from office? He did not expect that Su Zipei and Mu Qiqi would appear at the entrance of Mu Group at 8:30 in the morning. Just like last time, Su Zipei was stopped by the receptionist. "I'm sorry, Miss Su. Do you have an appointment? You can't go up if you don't." Last time, Su Zipei was stopped by the receptionist because she was furious. She did not expect that she was a shareholder. How could she be fooled so easily today? Even Mu Qiqi would not agree to it. "Don't you know that my aunt is a shareholder of Mu Group?" "Appointment? When your CEO steps down, you'll have to think about whether you can keep your job." The receptionist knew who Mu Qiqi was, but she did not know that Su Zipei owned 10% of Mu Group's shares. She was a major shareholder. After hearing what Mu Qiqi said, the receptionist immediately apologized to them. "I'm sorry, Miss Su. I'm so sorry. I'll bring you up now. You have your own responsibilities as a receptionist. But don't forget to look down on others. Otherwise, you won't even know how you lost your job." The receptionist was shocked. After all, she had treated Su Zipei badly that day. She did not know what was going on in the company. Who knew that she had offended the shareholders? Soon, they reached the top floor of Mu Group. When they got out of the elevator, Papa Mu came out of his office. When he saw Su Zipei and Mu Qiqi, Papa Mu's eyes were filled with mockery. His eyes said, "With just you two?" Su Zipei and Mu Qiqi did not back down. But only shareholders were allowed to enter the meeting room. So Mu Qiqi said to Su Zipei, "I'll be outside the meeting room. If anything uncontrollable happens in there, tell me. I'll call the police." "Don't worry. I don't think this scumbag has the guts to do that. After all, there are so many shareholders here." Su Zipei purposely raised her voice so that Papa Mu could hear her. "Aunt, just try your best." "I'm not trying my best for your mommy. I'll definitely do it," Su Zipei said firmly. Early in the morning, Sheng Xiao had helped Su Zipei and Mu Qiqi to predict what would happen in the shareholders' meeting. He also taught Su Zipei how to deal with it. Chapter 112. Mu Qiqi watched as Su Zipei entered the meeting room. Then, the other uncles of the Mu family arrived at the entrance of the meeting room one after another. Mu Qiqi looked at her youngest uncle subconsciously, because Sheng Xiao had told her to stay at the meeting room. She would be very useful today. As for Mr. Mu Xiao, he gave her a meaningful smile. Then, Papa Mu's secretary came out of the meeting room and asked Mu Qiqi, "Miss, do you want to wait in the lounge?" "It's okay. I'll stay here. I won't go anywhere." Mu Qiqi was afraid that Papa Mu would use his secretary to do something to her. The secretary did not force Mu Qiqi. She just let Mu Qiqi stand at the entrance of the meeting room. At 9 o'clock in the morning, all the shareholders of Mu Group had arrived. There were 24 of them. "We have called for this meeting because of the rumors about the current CEO of Mu Group. It's even more sensational this time, murdering his own wife. Because of these rumors, Mu Group has suffered a great blow. Their shares have fallen, and their trust in us has fallen. Our business partners have retreated, and our suppliers have chosen to work with us. I hope that you can give us a reasonable explanation. You promised that you would not put Mu Group in danger again. But how many days has it been? Are you going to embarrass yourself? One of the shareholders started to attack Papa Mu when the meeting started. However, Papa Mu smiled calmly. He looked at Suzy Pei. I won't run away from what I've promised. But what if the rumors on the internet were deliberately spread by someone? You know that my wife was killed in a fire a few days ago. I was in Japan at that time. May I ask, how can I do anything to my wife? What do you think, Miss Sue? Let's settle our personal grudges in private. Why do we have to let everyone know about it? Papa Mu purposely pointed the finger at Suzy Pei. He accused Suzy Pei of spreading the news to the media. Miss Sue, why would she do that to you? The shareholder continued to ask. Because I cremated my wife's body without her permission. She wants to take revenge on me. That's why she framed me. Papa Mu argued. Suzy Pei smiled when she heard the accusation. She was calmer than him. I don't understand what you're talking about. Zipei, how can you not understand? You understand. If Mr. Mu wants to put the blame on me, I'll accept it. Suzy Pei shrugged. But how can you argue that you're incompetent? After the incident broke out, did you look for a PR team? Do you have a way to deal with it? We're not here to hold you accountable. If you can't come up with a solution, and let Mu Group continue like this, who's going to protect our rights as shareholders? Sheng Xiao had specifically instructed Suzy Pei. No matter how Papa Mu tried to accuse her, she would not admit it. Moreover, she would focus on solving the problem instead of finding the cause. If this matter was planned by you, then the nature of the matter would naturally be different. I will definitely investigate this matter. Brother-in-law, it's fine if you cremated my sister's body. But for such a small matter, do you think I would plan such a big thing to frame you? Suzy Pei asked Papa Mu helplessly. I believe you have nothing to do with what happened to my sister. Why would I frame you if I believe you? What's in it for me? Papa Mu did not know what to say after he heard that. Suzy Pei had completely stopped hating him. She looked as if she was not involved in this matter. CEO Mu, what we want is your solution. You keep accusing a woman. It's an eye-opener for us as shareholders. One of the shareholders quickly spoke up for Suzy Pei. Mu Group's stock price is dropping. You've caused us to suffer huge losses in the last 2 incidents. Now, you're trying to frame someone else in this meeting. How can we continue to hand over Mu Group to you? Of course, I have a solution. The documents that my secretary gave you just now are about how to deal with this crisis. Papa Mu snorted. Mu Group has been attacked by others many times. Are we going to endure their persecution? I'm innocent. I've done my best for Mu Group all these years. I've made Mu Group what it is today. Even if I don't have any credit, don't I have any hard work? Are you going to dismiss me because of such a small matter? After the shareholders heard this, they all opened the crisis management materials in front of them and started reading. Meanwhile, Suzy Pei calmed down. She knew that she had to be patient when she was dealing with Papa Mu. I've invited the police to appear on the talk show with me. I want them to explain the fire incident to the public. The public will sympathize with us because of their misunderstanding of us. So why don't you use this incident as a way to promote Mu Group? The shareholders were silent after reading the documents. However, Mr. Mu Xiao suddenly said, let's let someone else do it. It'll help us regain our trust in Mu Group. We don't need you to do it. Brother, what do you mean? Papa Mu was suddenly nervous. His little brother was usually the one who did not make a move and never took the initiative to speak up. Why was he standing beside Suzy Pei now? What I mean is that there are so many things that we can dig out from your family. It's not just about Shui, or exchanging exam papers, or second sister-in-law's death. There are other things too. We can get through this crisis safely. But what about next time? Brother, think carefully before you speak. Papa Mu said to him angrily. He sounded like he was threatening him. Isn't there still no conclusion about Mom's death? Mr. Mu Xiao retorted. What about chasing your own daughter out of the house? That's only a recent incident. Let's talk about the incident with young Master Shen in the future. What if someone finds out about it? Won't we have to bear the risk with you again and again? Su Zipei was stunned when she heard about young Master Shin. Could it be that Mr. Mu Xiao knew about these things? No. Did everyone in the Mu family know about it, but they hid it from her on purpose? There are so many talented people in the company. Why do we need a person who is tainted to manage the company? It's up to you if you want to take the risk. But I won't agree to it. After hearing what Mr. Mu Xiao said, the shareholders leaned towards Papa Mu's dismissal again. When Grandpa Mu saw this scene, he understood what the people on the table meant. Chapter 113. Papa Mu did not know that Mr. Mu Xiao and Zipei were doing the same thing. They wanted him to reveal all his trump cards. Now that he had used all his trump cards, what else could he hope for? He could only pin all his hopes on Grandpa Mu. Father, say something. Papa Mu let Grandpa Mu make the decision. I've been working hard for Mu Group all these years. I didn't expect so many people to oppose me. I'm really disappointed. Grandpa Mu knew how much he had done for the company. He had been working hard all this while so that he would not give up his management rights. But, Father, you've been biased all these years. It's time for you to change. Are you going to follow second brother's example and chase those who oppose him out of Mu Group? Mr. Mu Xiao continued. Little brother, I didn't expect you to be so ambitious. Mr. Mu Xiao did not say anything. He stood up with a smile and walked out of the meeting room. He opened the door and said to Mu Qiqi, Come in, Qiqi. Uncle. Mu Qiqi was dragged into the meeting room. Everyone did not understand why Mr. Mu Xiao did that. But he pulled Mu Qiqi to his seat and asked, Qiqi, tell us all about the grievances you've suffered all these years. Uncle, are you talking about how I've been accused of killing my grandmother? Or how I've been chased out of the house? Or the domestic violence that Mr. Mu has suffered all these years? Mu Qiqi looked like she was wronged, but she was stubborn. Everyone, Qiqi is second brother's daughter. But he treats her differently. All these years, he has been beating and scolding her. He is biased towards her sister. Why? Because Qiqi is not obedient. He said that Qiqi killed her grandmother without any evidence. In fact, he was afraid that we would pursue the matter. But we want the truth more. But he chased Qiqi out of the house. He thought that he had given us an explanation. But he let a 17-year-old girl wander outside. Luckily, Madame Su pitted Qiqi so that she did not lose her home. So, I have every reason to believe that the accusations against you are not groundless. You treat your own daughter this way. Then, your wife is even more useless. If this matter is really dug out, will Mu Group be shut down? Can you bear this responsibility? Why don't you just let people forget about you? That would be the best relief for the Mu Group. Most of the people present were already parents. To be able to chase his own daughter out of the house, it was clear that he had a heart of stone. How ruthless. The shareholders couldn't help sighing. I've never seen such a ruthless father. If Qiqi had not come today, and Mr. Mu Xiao had only said that, the shareholders would not have been able to resonate with Papa Mu, and they would not have hated him. However, Mu Qiqi had come along. Whether it was intentional or not, she had been a great help in this matter. Why did Qiqi come at the right time? If this wasn't part of your plan, then why are you here? Papa Mu pointed his finger at Mu Qiqi. He was the one who claimed that Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei wanted to frame him. They purposely created a controversy on the internet. Mu Qiqi turned to look at Papa Mu and sneered. How dare you say that? The last time I came to the company to look for you, I was stopped by your front desk. I know that you always despise my family background, but I'm now a shareholder of your company. If I don't accompany her, would I let her, a shareholder, be humiliated by your front desk again? After I was chased out of the house, I was homeless. I had nowhere to go. I could only work in a small clinic. I slept on a stool at night. It was my aunt who saved me and protected me. Shouldn't I protect her? My mother is dead. She wanted to divorce you. So, she was burned to death in the Mu family's house. How can I not hate you? For an 18-year-old girl to say such heart-wrenching words in public, the shareholders were also anxious. Papa Mu was a son. He did not investigate the truth of his mother's death. Instead, he used his daughter to appease his anger. It was unheard of for a father to treat his twin sisters differently. and favor his younger daughter, who was beneficial to him. As brothers, he and the other members of the Mu family were never on good terms. In the end, Grandpa Mu had nothing else to say. He said to all the shareholders, "Let's vote. If more than half of the votes are cast, the dismissal will take effect." Mu Chichi walked to Susie Pei's side after hearing that. The secretary took out a ballot box and asked the shareholders to put their votes in it. What else could Papa Mu say now that his family and private affairs were exposed, and Mu Chichi was here as a witness? He could only wait for the voting results. After all, he had already negotiated with many shareholders last night. Although he would suffer a great loss, as long as he could keep his position as CEO, it would be worth it. Soon, the votes were tallied, and the secretary made a public vote. Mu Chichi glanced at Papa Mu, then at her youngest uncle and Susie Pei. How could they not think of what Papa Mu could think of? They were well aware of Papa Mu's behavior. So when Papa Mu walked out of the shareholders' house, they followed him into his house. There are a total of 24 shareholders. 23 of them voted for the dismissal, and 1 abstained from voting. So, the decision to dismiss CEO Mu is effective. Papa Mu stood up immediately after hearing that. He pointed at the shareholders last night and said, "You took the bribe and now you are going back on your words? We have already told the chairman about you bribing us. We have also returned all the bribe you gave us. Since it has taken effect, from today onwards, my youngest son will be the CEO of Mu Group. Is there any objection?" Grandpa Mu seized the opportunity to push Mr. Mu Xiao to take over the position. "Father." Papa Mu looked at Grandpa Mu in despair. "Even you are going to abandon me? Do you know what Shui said to me when I went out this morning? She begged me to protect her, because she was afraid that you would vent your anger on her and abuse her. I think you will not be so hot-tempered from now on, right?" Grandpa Mu said coldly. "If you are not happy, get out of the Mu family." Mu Chichi looked at Papa Mu, who lost his composure. She felt that the result was the best consolation for her mother. That scumbag had finally lost his power. She wanted to share the good news with Xiao Xiao the most. Although Xiao Xiao should have known about the result, because he was the one who directed the whole thing. Chapter 114. Since it's just a temporary replacement, there shouldn't be a problem. We'll hold another board meeting and vote for the new CEO. The shareholders said. "I think Mr. Mu Xiao is young and promising. He's a good candidate. Then, Mr. Mu Xiao would definitely be the temporary CEO." On the other hand, Papa Mu looked defeated. His eyes were filled with hatred. Of course, he was resentful when he was fired. Especially when he looked at Susie Pei and Mu Chichi. His eyes were as sharp as knives. He wanted to cut them into pieces. However, the more Papa Mu hated them, the happier they felt. Because this bastard always cared about his own interests. Now that he had lost his power, wasn't it the same as killing him? If that's the case, go back and prepare to hand over to your brother. From now on, you're not allowed to step into Mu Group except for the shareholders' meeting. Grandpa Mu said to Papa Mu, "If you know that you're wrong, you should stay at home and cultivate. If you're still stubborn, don't blame me for turning against you." Papa Mu tried his best to hold himself back. He could not accept the fact that he had lost his power. However, at this moment, with so many pairs of eyes staring at him, what else could he do? "I won't let it go just like that. Especially to you." Papa Mu threatened the shareholders in the meeting room, especially Mu Chichi and Susie Pei. Then, he left the meeting room of Mu Group, leaving the crowd laughing at him. What else does he want? Mu Chichi and Susie Pei looked at each other. They did not believe that Papa Mu would let it go just like that. However, they were fearless for the person they cared about. Grandpa Mu seemed to have aged after the meeting. When the shareholders were about to leave, he said to Susie Pei, "You've done what you wanted. Can you let us go now?" "I'm afraid that your son won't let us go either," Susie Pei said to Grandpa Shen. "It's true that women like us can't do much, but we can't force them either. Otherwise, they'll do whatever it takes to let him know that he can't do whatever he wants in this world. You guys should let Shui off as well." As for Mu Tongshui, they had no intention of dealing with her in the first place. As long as Mu Tongshui wasn't asking for trouble, Mu Tongxue was not a threat to Mu Qiqi since she couldn't go to school and had no backing. Even so, there were some people in this world who liked to overestimate themselves. Mu Qiqi looked at Su Zipei without saying a word. Grandpa Mu was speechless too. He turned around and left Mu Group. Soon, there were only a few people left in the meeting room of Mu Group. Su Zipei grabbed Mr. Mu Xiao and said, "I want to ask you something." "Miss Su, feel free to ask." Mr. Mu Xiao did not dare to look down on them now. He had been dreaming for so many years, but these two women had helped him achieve his dream. "Aren't you my benefactors? When you refuted that scum just now, you mentioned the eldest young master of the Shen family. What else do you know? Can you tell me what the secret between the two of them is?" Mr. Mu Xiao chuckled and asked her, "Didn't second sister-in-law tell you about it all these years?" "I've never heard of it. The eldest young master of the Shen family, Shen Jianchuan, used to be second brother's best friend. But at that time, I heard that second sister-in-law and eldest young master Shen had a special relationship. Of course, no one knew about this. You also know that the Shen family is a big family. At that time, second sister-in-law was just a white-collar worker. How could she enter the Shen family? The three of them often meet up to play golf, and something like that. But I don't know why second brother came home and begged Dad to let him marry second sister-in-law. Of course, Dad didn't agree. But second brother told him that second sister-in-law was pregnant. So Dad had no choice but to agree. Second sister-in-law got pregnant and married into the Mu family. Then, Mu Tongxue and Mu Qiqi were born. But not long after that, something happened to the eldest young master of the Shen family. He is still lying in the hospital now. He is half dead. Second sister-in-law was a man who valued his own interests. But he married second sister-in-law, who had no background at all. It puzzled us for a long time. Maybe he really liked second sister-in-law, but we don't know why he became so cold to her. We all guessed that it had something to do with eldest young master Shen. Moreover, we know that my second brother is a vicious and merciless person, so we suspected that he had something to do with what happened to young master Shen. My second brother, second sister-in-law, and the eldest young master of the Shen family. There must be a grudge and a secret between these three. You heard it today. He admitted it when I lied to him. Su Zipei had a plan. She stood up and shook hands with Mr. Mu Xiao. "Thank you. I will get to the bottom of it. It's not easy to investigate the past. You can come to me anytime if you need me. And you, Qiqi, your father is not a good man. But your uncle treats you well." Mu Qiqi smiled. But she never felt that anyone in the Mu family was sincere to her. "Thank you, uncle. I don't know where that bastard is hiding. I hope you can send someone to send me and Aunt Zipei out. You have improved after going out for a while. You are so thoughtful now. You are like an adult now." Having said that, Mr. Mu Xiao asked the security guards to send them away. But when they left, she saw Papa Mu smashing things in his office. "Are you going crazy now? You will go crazy when the DNA test results are out." Su Zipei thought to herself. "Aunt Zipei, let's go," Mu Qiqi said to Su Zipei. Su Zipei nodded and left Mu Group with Mu Qiqi. Mr. Mu Xiao personally sent them downstairs. But before they left the main entrance, Mu Qiqi said to Mr. Mu Xiao, "Uncle, shouldn't we change the receptionist of Mu Group?" Mr. Mu Xiao understood what Mu Qiqi meant. He nodded. "I know. You are so smart. You won't see her again." It was human nature to be taught a lesson sooner or later, if one did not know how to respect others. Mu Qiqi heaved a sigh of relief when they left Mu Group. "Aunt Zipei, I was so nervous. I thought that I couldn't defeat that bastard. How powerful is young Master Sheng? He knew that he would find a chance to fight back. But it's a pity that he doesn't know who his real opponent is." Su Zipei snorted. "I only hope that my sister will know about this and protect you." Chapter 115. Actually, Su Zipei wanted to see him too. The results of the DNA test should be out, right? Coupled with the information she received from Mr. Mu Xiao today, Su Zipei thought that the reason why Shen Jianchuan was in a vegetative state must have something to do with that scumbag. In Mu Group, Mr. Mu Xiao entered the CEO's office after everyone left. He sat on the chair and said, "Second brother, you should pack up as soon as possible. After all, you don't belong here anymore." Papa Mu threw the box in his hand and grabbed Mr. Mu Xiao's sleeve angrily. "You won't be happy for long. Do you know why you lost in the end?" Mr. Mu Xiao asked with a smile. "Because you underestimated your opponent. You didn't know that Su Zipei and Mu Qiqi would do this to you behind your back. They made you a hot topic and made you look like a stinky rat. You can't blame them for that." Mr. Mu Xiao smiled. "They only wanted second sister-in-law's body. How dare you cremate her? If you didn't cross the line, do you think you would get what you deserve today? You don't have the right to say that to me," Papa Mu said fiercely. "It's not up to you to judge whether I have the right to say that to you. I only know that you don't have the right to stand in this office anymore. Get lost." Papa Mu knew that the winner was always right. But how terrible was the result? At that moment he knew it very well. Papa Mu left the office with the box in his hand. Even though the people around him were pointing at him, he couldn't care less. Hatred and anger. These two emotions had always been intertwined in his heart. He really wanted to go home and ask that old fart what he had done wrong. So Papa Mu returned to Grandpa Mu's villa as fast as he could. Mu Tongshue's face turned pale when she saw his gloomy face. Grandpa Mu said to Mu Tongxue, "Go back to your room." Mu Tongxue obeyed and went back to her room. She did not dare to watch such a scene. Papa Mu stepped forward. He almost wanted to grab Grandpa Mu's collar. "If you touch me, don't even think about getting the Mu family's inheritance." Grandpa Mu's threat worked. No matter how much Papa Mu hated him, he would not give up the inheritance. "I've been working for Mu Group for so many years. I've done a lot of hard work, and this is how you dismiss me? If you hadn't done so many dirty things, you wouldn't have needed me to clean up your mess again and again. I'm old and can't do it anymore. You're on your own." Papa Mu was not convinced. He panted heavily. "Old man, you really know how to burn bridges after crossing the river. You only have yourself to blame for what has happened today." Grandpa Sheng's attitude towards his unfilial son was very firm. He knew that if he showed even a hint of softness, Papa Mu would have the misconception that he could rise again. He didn't want to waste any more time on this son of his. Their conversation was short, but Mu Tongxue was quite frightened. She was afraid that her father would treat her and her grandpa the same way he treated her mommy. Grandpa Sheng was her only support now. Mu Tongxue didn't know where she got the courage to open the door. But Papa Mu was not in the living room. Grandpa Mu saw Mu Tongxue and called her, "Shue, or come here." "Grandpa." Mu Tongxue walked to Grandpa Mu and laid on his knees. "From now on, you should focus on following me. I'll think of a way to educate you. Don't be afraid." Mu Tongxue was like a frightened bird. After all, Grandpa Sheng would pass away one day. She had to find someone else to support her. She couldn't count on her father anymore. Should she go and please her uncle? If her father knew about it, he would definitely not forgive her. Mu Tongxue didn't expect that she would have a chance to make a comeback soon. And it was given by Sheng Xiao. Mu Qiqi and Su Zipei did not see Sheng Xiao when they returned to the small mansion. After all, Sheng Xiao was the crown prince of Huangyao. He was occupied with work during the day. However, Lu Wenhua was quite free. After hearing about Papa Mu's fate, Lu Wenhua smiled. "It's good now." "Good? What does it have to do with you?" Su Zipei teased Lu Wenhua. Lu Wenhua was still smiling. He answered Su Zipei gently, "I'll be happy if you're happy." "Ahem. I'm going back to my room. You guys take your time." Mu Qiqi knew that she shouldn't be a third wheel anymore. So, she quickly went back to her room. Although she couldn't see Sheng Xiao now, she could share the good news with him immediately. Xiao Xiao, that bastard finally lost the most important thing to him. He finally took revenge for my mother. Sheng Xiao read the message and replied, "It's not enough to make him lose Mu Group, because there were many things that needed to be investigated. For example, the eldest young master of the Shen family and Mama Mu's death. Although they all pointed to Papa Mu, they didn't have any solid evidence. They still needed to find the answer. Especially, why Mu Tongxue and Mu Qiqi had two different fathers. What did Mama Mu go through during that period of time? They still needed to find the answer. Of course, Mu Qiqi didn't understand the meaning behind Sheng Xiao's words. It was because what Sheng Xiao knew and what Mu Qiqi knew were not on the same level anymore. Mu Qiqi only thought that Sheng Xiao was doting on her. But she didn't know how much Sheng Xiao cared about her. He was worried about her. Then, Sheng Xiao took out the cufflinks that Mu Qiqi gave him and played with it. He would definitely change Mu Qiqi's life. The results of the DNA test were out. It was the same as the last time. Moreover, to answer the question of half-brothers, Sheng Xiao had Jing Yun look for an expert. He wanted to be 100% sure that it was not ridiculous, but real. The expert's answer was more professional than Jing Yun's. He even provided detailed comparison data and various examples. But the general idea was the same as Jing Yun's. Mu Qiqi and Mu Tongxue had nothing in common other than their faces. Their personalities were completely different too. They were fraternal twins. The mother's genes are so strong that it weakens the father's genes. So, even if there are differences, it's not obvious. That's enough. Sheng Xiao didn't want to listen to the professional jargon anymore. So, he interrupted the expert. This is confidential. If it's leaked. Chapter 116. Young Master, are you going to tell Miss Mu Qiqi about this? Jing Yun asked Sheng Xiao after seeing the experts off. I have other plans for Mu Qiqi. The most important thing now is to let Mu Tongxue know without leaving a trace. Sheng Xiao stared at Jing Yun with his sharpest gaze. If there's no other way, we might need Aunt Sue's help. Then the Shen family. Let's get off work. Nonetheless, Sheng Xiao did not tell Jing Yun much about his plan, because he needed to discuss it with Su Zipei before he could make any further moves. After all, Mu Qiqi had just avenged her mother, and now she was about to receive another blow. Although he could not bear it, there were some things that had to be arranged as soon as possible. Since she was a member of the Shen family, she had to return to them. After all, she still had her family and support. After work, Sheng Xiao promptly drove to the little mansion, completely unaware that Mama Sheng was calling out to him countless times behind him. Mama Sheng was curious about the strange people Sheng Xiao had been seeing recently, and wanted to ask him about it. But he was nowhere to be seen after work. Jing Yun, what has your young master been busy with lately? Why can't I catch him even after I came to Huang Yao? Madam, he's naturally busy with Huang Yao. Jing Yun replied. Could it not be related to a woman? Jing Yun shook his head. Forget it. There's no use asking a blockhead like you. You must tell me if you see him interacting with any woman. Yes, madam. Jing Yun brushed it off for Sheng Xiao, because he knew that if the Sheng family learned that Sheng Xiao was living together with a 19-year-old girl, their hearts would stop in shock. Although he did not know how Sheng Xiao would solve the problem when the time comes, and it would be difficult to even think about it. What could he do since the young master would not turn back? Perhaps it was as Sheng Xiao said, people really should not succumb to fate in this life. Sheng Xiao arrived at the little mansion at night, and Mu Qiqi came to him when she saw him, holding his warm hand. I've prepared a sumptuous dinner for you today, and it's all your favorites. You figured out what I like? Sheng Xiao couldn't help but raise a brow. Even I've figured it out, not to mention my aunt. Mu Qiqi smiled at him. Xiao Xiao, you don't know how dangerous it was today. That scumbag almost fooled us. Sheng Xiao sat down at the dining table and looked at Su Zipei. I have something to talk to Aunt Su after dinner. Something I can't know again? Mu Qiqi looked at him with a relieved expression. I know. I'll watch TV in the living room. Sheng Xiao reached out and pinched her cheek. In fact, he knew very well that whatever he wanted to discuss with Zipei was about herself. Who else could it be about other than herself? However, I hope that you will not treat me as a child in the future. I am already 19 years old. In my heart, you will always be a child. Su Zipei couldn't help but laugh. After dinner, the two of them went to the study, leaving Mu Qiqi alone in the living room. However, Su Zipei was curious as to why Mu Qiqi could not know about this. Young Master Sheng, is Mu Qiqi not allowed to know the truth? It's not as simple as you think. Sheng Zhao's eyes were deep and extremely sharp, striking fear in anyone who saw them. Even Suzy Pei, who had lived most of her life and seen countless people, had to admit that she could not see through Sheng Zhao's eyes. Please tell me, young Master Sheng, the DNA test shows that Mu Qiqi is indeed a child of the Shin family. After hearing this, Suzy Pei seemed to be mentally prepared. Since my sister suspects it, she must have a basis for it. But, after saying that, Sheng Xiao added another twist to his words. But, although she and Mu Tongxue are twins, Mu Tongxue is not a member of the Shin family, but a member of the Mu family, Sheng Xiao told Suzy Pei with a hint of playfulness. Although it is surprising, Jing Yun had done 2 DNA tests. Mu Qiqi is a member of the Shin family, but Mu Tongxue is not. Well, I don't understand. For that, I asked a medical expert to answer the question. He told me that Mu Tongxue and Mu Qiqi are not identical twins, but fraternal twins. But they look. In short, it means that their mother's genes are strong and similar to their mother's, which is why they are no different from identical twins. Their father's genes are weakened, which is why their traits are not obvious. But there is nothing similar between them apart from their faces, especially their personalities. Sheng Xiao explained simply. Suzy Pei took a moment to accept it. So there is such a thing in this world. I also suspected that the expert was making it up, which is why I forced him to show me the evidence. As it turns out, there really are such examples in this world, and they are not the first pair. Since young Master Sheng has investigated and confirmed it, shouldn't we get to the bottom of what actually happened 20 years ago? Suzy Pei asked for Sheng Zhao's opinion. No, Sheng Xiao shook his head. I have another plan for this. Mu Tongxue is a Shen, but Mu Tongxue is not. Since they look so similar, she would think that she is a Shen too if you tell her that Mu Tongxue is from the Shen family. Then, she would think of a way to get rid of the Mu family, and go to the Shen family to reunite with them. Moreover, she would definitely provoke the Mu family when she gets involved with the Mu family, especially Papa Mu. He would think that the daughter he raised is actually someone else's child. That would make it easier for him to expose himself. That would be more useful than any investigation. On the other hand, Mu Tongxue thinks that she is a Shen too, and is sure that Mu Tongxue would return to the Shin family in the end. Do you think she would want to strike first, and act pitiful in front of the Shin family? Or spread rumors? Wouldn't that be bad for Mu Tongxue? Sheng Xiao shook his head. As for the Shin family, I will tell Grandpa Shen about the results. Then, it would be useless no matter how Mu Tongxue acts in front of him. In the end, the Shen family would only acknowledge Mu Tongxue's identity. Suzy Pei understood what Sheng Xiao meant, and was surprised. If it were anyone else, they would not be able to play such a big game of chess. Not only did they get rid of the Mu family, but they also humiliated Mu Tongxue. Chapter 117. Then when can we tell Mu Qiqi? That was the last thing Sheng Xiao wanted to face, because the little one had endured and suffered enough recently. I'll find a chance, Sheng Xiao told Suzy Pei. I don't want to hide everything from her. According to her, she is already an adult, and has the right to know. Moreover, I don't believe that my woman can't even handle this. Suzy Pei nodded at Sheng Zhao's words. After going through so much, Mu Qiqi doesn't need our comfort or worry. She knows how to deal with it. It's easy with Mu Tongxue. I just have to go to Mr. Mu Xiao with the excuse of investigating the past, and inadvertently reveal it to him. Do you think he would hold back from telling the Mu family? I'll go to him immediately when the time is right. It's not convenient for me to interfere with the Mu family. That's why I can only rely on you, Sheng Xiao told Suzy Pei. At least now is not the time to let the Mu family know that I'm behind Mu Qiqi. We have to wait until the Mu family can't fight back. And when that time comes, I can go to them. I understand. Suzy Pei nodded. If that's the case, I'll wait for your news. Young Master Sheng, Mu Qiqi's background is so complicated. How would it affect you in the future? You want to ask about the Sheng family. Sheng Xiao suddenly looked up at the door of the study with a hint of coldness. I'll pave the way for Mu Qiqi. You don't have to worry about that. Young Master Sheng, As long as I can help you and Mu Qiqi, you just have to tell me what it is. Mu Qiqi is my only family now. Who else would I do it for if not for her? Sheng Xiao was aware of Su Zipei's feelings for Mu Qiqi. She had always treated her as her own daughter. Live your own life if you really want what's best for her. Mu Qiqi sat in the living room and let her imagination run wild. What could those two be hiding from her? Anything that needed to be hidden must not be good, right? Soon, they left the study, and Sheng Xiao waved at Mu Qiqi. Let's go home. Mu Qiqi nodded and followed Sheng Xiao. It was only after they got into the car that Sheng Xiao asked, "Have you ever thought that you're not a member of the Mu family?" Mu Qiqi was stunned for a few seconds and nodded. I never thought of myself as a member of the Mu family. I'm serious. Mu Qiqi realized that what he was going to say next would not be so simple, and so answered seriously, "Of course. I've always felt that I didn't fit in with the Mu family since I was young, because every one of them is so good at acting, especially Mu Tongxue. But how could I not be family when I look so much like Mu Tongxue?" Sheng Xiao did not say anything else, but his cold, hard face was tense, and she could feel that he was holding back something. Mu Qiqi kept waiting, but Sheng Xiao did not say anything else. Until they entered their new home. Sheng Xiao promptly dragged Mu Qiqi into the study and put the DNA report in front of her. Look at it yourself. Whose DNA is this? Mu Qiqi asked as she tore open the paper bag. Sheng Xiao took off his shirt, revealing his bronzed torso, and sat beside Mu Qiqi, hugging her as they opened the envelope. Mu Qiqi could not focus at once as she took a whiff of Sheng Xiao's pleasant scent. That was why she pushed him away. Don't get so close to me. I can't look at the results seriously. Don't talk nonsense. Look at my chest. You'll need it later. Helpless, Mu Qiqi could only let the tyrant do as he pleased. Sheng Xiao was very restrained in front of Mu Qiqi. He never spoke ill of her, nor did he really tease her. Even so, his little actions would expose his demonic nature from time to time. Mu Qiqi took out the DNA report and leaned against Sheng Xiao's chest, reading it seriously. But she was not as sad as Sheng Xiao and Su Zipei imagined, and simply sighed. So, I'm a Shun, and Mu Tongxue is a Mu? Sheng Xiao turned her to look at her face. You're not sad? Why should I be? Mu Qiqi asked in return. Shouldn't I be happy? That scum isn't my father, isn't? Do you know how lucky I am at this moment? Sheng Xiao hugged Mu Qiqi, burying her head in his chest. You should be happy. The Mu family can't compare to the Shun family's influence in Jianchuan. And now you've suddenly turned from an abandoned child to the eldest daughter of the Shun family. That status isn't the same anymore. You know I don't care about that. Mu Qiqi smiled. I'm happy that I have nothing to do with that heartless animal. That's why I'm keeping it to myself. I think that being with you now is the life I want, and I don't have to return to the Shun family. You must return to the Shun family, Sheng Xiao told Mu Qiqi. You have a real family, and your aunt and I are planning to use it against Papa Mu and Mu Tongxue. Sheng Xiao chuckled in relief when he saw that Mu Qiqi wasn't sad. The eldest daughter of the Shun family has suffered for so many years in the Mu family. Aren't you going to settle the score? Moreover, who is Mu Tongxue? She bullied you. You're really? Mu Qiqi smiled helplessly. So you've been discussing that with my aunt in the study all this while? Are you afraid that I can't handle it? It's a series of blows after all. Mu Qiqi snorted fearlessly. What do I have to be afraid of now? Not afraid. Sheng Xiao's eyes darkened, his hand reaching into her clothes. Mu Qiqi quickly pulled back and raised her hands in surrender. I'm afraid. Xiao Xiao, please spare me. After hearing this, Sheng Xiao picked her up and placed her on the desk, right under the DNA report she was reading just now. All right, I'll let you go now. How was that sparing? Sheng Xiao's kiss was so seductive and sexy that Mu Qiqi had no strength to resist, and could only cling helplessly to his shoulder. Soon, her body became immeasurably cool, because Sheng Xiao had thrown all her clothes in the middle of the study floor. Xiao Xiao, slow down. Sheng Xiao chuckled and held Mu Qiqi's slender waist, pressing them together perfectly without leaving a gap. At the same time, the heat from Sheng Xiao's body made Mu Qiqi blush and her heart race, making her nervous. Chapter 118. However, the desk was very hard and the height was not suitable. It was much more uncomfortable than being on the washstand. After a while, Mu Chichi could not stand it anymore. Xiao Xiao, it hurts. It hurts. Then, Sheng Xiao lifted her round buttocks and let her wrap her arms around his narrow waist. Just like that, he led her into the bedroom step by step. But because the feeling was too strong when they walked, Mu Chichi was completely defeated by the time they reached the bedroom. And for Sheng Xiao, it was destined to be another busy night. The two lingered until dawn. Mu Chichi slept soundly in Sheng Xiao's arms, while Sheng Xiao hugged Mu Chichi very awake and kissed her on the top of her head. What a cherishing little one. School is about to start, little one. And it was time for him to let Jing Yun bring the documents to the old man of the Shen family. Of course, he could not go there personally. Moreover, he could not let others know that he was close to Mu Chichi. Otherwise, the Shen family could easily find out that he was living with Mu Chichi. But now was not the time to publicize their relationship. Bring this DNA test to Old Shen. I have to make sure that the old man knows the truth, while keeping my relationship with Mu Chichi a secret. Can you handle it? Don't worry, young master. Although Jing Yun's mind was a little unstable at times, he was very capable in his work. He was also very meticulous, and could think of things that ordinary people could not think of. Handle it well. Don't let the old man alert the Sheng family. I understand. Jing Yun nodded. If it had been anyone else, they would not have been able to complete Sheng Xiao's task. Not only did they have to let the old man know the truth, they had to hide the relationship between Mu Chichi and Sheng Xiao, and they had to subtly remind the old man not to alert the Sheng family. But Sheng Xiao trusted Jing Yun. So that morning, Jing Yun brought all the documents to the Shen family. Since old Shen had long retired and only worked as a consultant in the military, he had more free time at home. His daily routine was to take care of his plants and play with Sun Nongyi. When Jing Yun came, old Shen was fishing in his own pond. He was wearing a straw hat, and his back was straight. Even though he was old, the old man's dignity and heroism could be seen. Old Master Shen. Jing Yun stood behind Grandpa Shen with the documents in hand and greeted him respectfully. Is Sheng Xiao looking for me? The old man asked, tilting his head. It's about your young master. Hearing the words young master, the old man immediately put down his fishing rod and stood up. His expression became much more serious. Jianchuan has been in a vegetative state for so many years. What else is there to talk about? It's like this, old sir. A year ago, my young master got into a car accident. I believe you've heard about it. At that time, a young lady saved my young master. Coincidentally, young master found out that the girl was going to be sold, so he asked me to save her. For the past year, I've been taking care of that girl under young master's care. Actually, that girl's background isn't ordinary either. She's the eldest daughter of the Mu family. Grandpa Shen was interested when he heard about the Mu family. So he said to Jing Yun, continue. Recently, Madame Mu died in the Sea of Fire. I don't know if you have heard about it. But before she died, she told me a secret. And this secret is in the documents in my hand. Then, Jing Yun handed the documents to Grandpa Shen. Grandpa Shen, you are right. The old man looked at the yellow paper bag and wiped the water off his hands. Then he opened the bag to take a look. Then, his expression became complicated. One of the Mu family's twin daughters is Jianchuan's daughter? That's right. Young master asked me to do 2 tests. He even asked the experts to decipher the twin sisters' passwords. Finally, we came to this conclusion. So he asked me to inform you that no matter whether you want to acknowledge this granddaughter or not, young Master Shen has a descendant. How messy is the relationship between the 3 of them? How could they give birth to such a pair of twins? Grandpa Shen snorted. We don't know the relationship between young Master Shen and the Mu couple, but the grudges of the previous generation won't affect the next generation. You don't know how much eldest Miss Mu has suffered in the Mu family all these years. It's really pitiful. Tell me more. Jing Yun spoke step by step. It was as if he had purposely set up a verbal trap. Grandpa Shen had no choice but to take the bait. It's a long story to tell you about Miss Mu's suffering. Let me tell you in detail. Then let's talk while we walk. Grandpa Shun felt that he wouldn't have the mood to fish that morning. Jing Yun gestured for Grandpa Shun to walk in front of him. The two of them passed through the antique courtyard and arrived at Grandpa Shun's study room. After listening to Jing Yun's story about Mu Qiqi, Grandpa Shun took out the DNA report again. Listening to Jing Yun's description of Mu Qiqi, this girl's temperament was indeed the same as the Shun family. But she was bullied by Mu Tongxue since she was young. Now where is this girl settled? Old sir, you know that the Shun family and the Mu family have a grudge against each other. That's why I've arranged for Miss Mu to stay in a small villa, with a French tycoon supporting her in name. Otherwise, young master would be troubled if the Shun family found out. But don't worry, Miss Mu is now living with her aunt. Your young master is very considerate. Don't worry, I won't tell anyone. Help me meet your young master when you're free. Grandpa Shun was not an ordinary person. Of course, he knew Xing Zhao's difficulty. And Jing Yun's answer was just right. He meant that young master was just taking care of him. And he was the one who carried out the whole thing. Mu Qiqi and young master were indebted to each other for saving her life. But they were not close. The old man will take care of this matter. You've worked hard, Jing Yun. Old sir, before Jing Yun leaves, I'm afraid I have to remind you that Mu Tongxue might come to you to ask for your hand in marriage. That girl is not a good person. You must be careful. Grandpa Shun nodded. Since she is not a member of the Shun family, I won't be polite. More importantly, she had hurt Mu Qiqi so badly. Did she really think that the Shun family was easy to bully? Of course. Although Grandpa Shun had seen the DNA report, he still needed to verify it himself. Only then he would be relieved. If the girl from the Mu family was really a member of the Shun family, of course, he would bring Mu Qiqi home. After all, his eldest son, whom he loved the most, only had one child. But from now on, the peace of the Shun family might be broken too, especially Jianchuan's fiancée. She stayed by his son's bedside for so many years. She never married. If she knew that her son had a daughter. Chapter 119. Jing Yun returned to Huang Yao after completing his mission. He told Xing Xiao about Grandpa Shun's reaction. Grandpa Shun will have to investigate further, said Xing Xiao. Xing Xiao said to Jing Yun, let him investigate. Apart from the relationship between Seventh and me, he can investigate anything else. You are always low-key. I'm afraid it will be difficult for him to investigate further. As for Mu Tongxue, what should we do? You don't have to worry about that. Your task is to cooperate with Grandpa Shun. Papa Mu was in a terrible state after he was kicked out of the board of directors of Mu Group. He tried to contact his business partners, but now that he had nothing to do with Mu Group, who would treat him as a friend, Papa Mu could only drown his sorrows in alcohol. Mu Tongxue tried to avoid him. Whenever Grandpa Shun was not at home, Mu Tongxue would hide in her room. But Papa Mu did not have a place to vent his anger. So, he knocked on Mu Tongxue's door. Mu Tongxue was afraid, but she was also filled with hatred. Papa Mu was pushing her too hard. Was she going to swallow it? After a while, Papa Mu did not knock on the door anymore. Mu Tongxue thought that he had left. But when she opened the door, Papa Mu suddenly reached out and grabbed her. Hide. Dad, please let me go. It hurts. Let you go? Who will let me go? Papa Mu stared at Mu Tongxue. He dragged her to the living room. Didn't you say that you would handle your mother's divorce? Didn't you say that I don't need to worry about it? What happened in the end? I only planned to hurt her. I'm not as cruel as you. I didn't want her dead. Mu Tongxue yelled. Don't think that I don't know. I wanted to save Mommy, but you got someone to lock my door. You're the culprit. You're the one who killed Mommy. Mu Tongxue was desperate. So, she shouted what was in her heart. But it angered Papa Mu too. He grabbed Mu Tongxue's arms and shook them. How dare you say that? Why don't you say that you are the one who killed your grandmother? Mu Tongxue's face turned pale. I didn't. You didn't? I don't know how many times your sister has taken the blame for you since she was young. But don't you know it? Schwer. I had no choice but to sacrifice Mu Qiqi. But it doesn't mean that I don't know. I really didn't. Don't forget that I was the one who brought you home to see your grandparents that day. When it was time to leave, I went to the room to find you two sisters and wanted to take you home. But I saw it with my own eyes. You had to perform well and feed the medicine to Grandma. Moreover, everyone has overlooked a very important factor. Your grandmother doesn't want Muchichi to get close to her at all. Why would she let her feed her the medicine? I, Shwe, you and Father are the same kind of person. Do you think there's a need for you to hide? Papa Mu smirked. It's a shame that you're not as lucky as your sister. You're fated to never be a real lady. So what if it is? Isn't Grandpa still doting on me? Mu Tongxue couldn't argue with him, so she just gave up. Hurt you? If he really knew about this, do you think he would still love you? But I won't expose you. After all, that old fart has given up on me. Why should I let him know the truth? Then Papa Mu let go of Mu Tongshue's arm. Don't let anyone go. We're a real family. Mu Tongxue fell to the ground instantly. She panted heavily. She felt really uncomfortable, but she refused to admit defeat. I'm still young. I still have a long way to go. At the small mansion at night, Sheng Xiao told Su Zipei about his conversation with Grandpa Shen. Of course, Mu Chichi was there too, but her expression was so calm that it was surprising. Especially Su Zipei. She didn't seem to be in pain, even though the incident was so serious, and her life was so complicated. If that's the case, I'll bring the other DNA report to Mr. Mu Xiaoxiao, Su Zipei said to Sheng Xiao. She sounded like she was asking for his opinion. Go ahead. Since the show has begun, let's welcome the climax. Sheng Xiao said meaningfully. But why did Su Zipei have to bring the DNA report? Because it would save Mu Tongxue from having to do the DNA test herself. Although Sheng Xiao knew that she didn't have the ability or the connections to do it, he still asked Su Zipei to prepare everything just in case. What does the Shen family want? Are they going to acknowledge Muchichi? Sheng Xiao turned around and looked at Muchichi. He reached out to brush her hair off her shoulder. Of course they will. Grandpa Shen loves this young master the most. And he has always regretted that Brother Shen didn't have a descendant. Now that there is one, do you think he won't acknowledge it? He won't let the Shen family's bloodline wander outside. That's good. Aunt, I'm satisfied with my current life whether the Shen family acknowledges it or not. Mu Chichi held Su Zipei's hand to comfort her. How can you do that? You are a member of the Shen family. You should go back to the Shen family. Moreover, I really want to see Mu Tongxue humiliating herself. Mu Chichi nodded, but her worries still outweighed her excitement, because she didn't know if her relationship with Sheng Xiao would change when she returned to the Shen family. Xiao, if we go back to the Shen family, will we not be able to see each other so often? Su Zipei looked at Sheng Xiao when she heard Mu Chichi's question. After all, their seniority would change once Mu Chichi returned to the Shen family. Although they were not related by blood, she had thought that Sheng Xiao would be helpless since there were always gains and losses in everything. However, Sheng Xiao simply said, everything I do is so that you can stand by my side rightfully. Chichi, you will be uncle and niece when you return to the Shen family. Yeah. Mu Chichi sighed too. Don't you trust my arrangement, little one? Sheng Xiao took the opportunity to pat her head. Let's eat. One day, you will know how determined my heart is. As long as you say you don't have to worry. Mu Chichi smiled. Of course I trust you. I'm just afraid that you are not confident in certain things. I'm afraid that you will be troubled. Su Zipei smiled at them. She sat opposite them and looked at them. Sometimes it was hard to explain the feelings of youths. Some people lived a serious life, but treated their feelings as child's play. On the other hand, some appeared to be child's play, but treated their feelings wholeheartedly. Chapter 120. Since they were going to put on a show, they should put on a big show. On the way back to their new home, Mu Chichi sneaked a few glances at Sheng Xiao. Sheng Xiao chuckled and asked her in return, what do you want to tell me? What kind of people are the Shen family? Mu Chichi was very curious. And is there any special reason why you want me to return to the Shin family? Sheng Xiao looked at her meaningfully and answered. The Shin family is in the army and politics. They are not as cunning as businessmen. They are more loyal to the country, especially Grandpa Shen. He is a proud man and never succumbs to injustice. Of course, not everyone in the Shen family is upright. After all, women have more thoughts. There will be some problems between the sisters-in-law of the Shen family. But that has nothing to do with you. It is just that the people in the army are more ambitious. It is not easy to please them. As for your last question, do you want to keep this kind of relationship with me for the rest of your life? Mu Qiqi was silent. If the Sheng family knows about our relationship one day, you will not even have the ability to protect yourself. At least you will have a family when you return to the Shin family. It is easy to like someone. You just have to obey him. But how long do you want to keep this secret relationship with me? 18 is fine. But 28? 38? Can't you see the light? Mu Qiqi nodded. I admit that I am still young. Most of the time, I cannot understand your intention. So I need you to tell me. But it does not mean that I do not have the courage to do it. I believe you. I don't have to ask for the reason. But you must give me a direction so that I can work hard for it. You also know that after leaving the Mu family, I don't have any special expectations for my family. So in my mind, I don't even need to return to the Shin family. But since you told me that returning to the Shin family is useful to me and to our future, let alone the fact that the Shen family is a righteous family, even if the Mu family is a dangerous place, I can still barge into it. After listening to Mu Qiqi, Sheng Xiao stopped the car, hooked his arm around her neck and kissed her thin lips. He only let go when both of them could not breathe. Little one, you sure talk big. But you have to believe that I won't send you to the tiger's den again. Mu Qiqi nodded. I believe you. Stinky thing, you're getting more and more ideas. Of course, it was just as Sheng Xiao expected. Although Grandpa Shen had read Jing Yun's report and the DNA report, he would not be at ease if he did not let his men check it again. Therefore, he found a trustworthy person to help him go to many places, collect a lot of information, and interview a lot of witnesses. In the end, it took a day and a night to sort out the ins and outs of the entire matter. Because he had to wait for this result, Grandpa Shen couldn't sleep the entire night. Fortunately, the next morning, his friend brought the investigation information to the Shen family and locked himself in the study with Grandpa Shen for a long time. Old Shen, why did you suddenly tell me such a thing? Bowen, this matter is of great importance. If it wasn't so, why would I bother you again? It's better to let the young ones handle it. Don't you think so? Grandpa Shen explained. All right. This is all the information. You have to tell me the reason why you are investigating the Mu family. The man handed the information to Grandpa Shen and stated his conditions. Grandpa Shen nodded. I will tell you everything after I read the detailed information. However, the information was basically the same as what Jing Yun had told him. Other than the DNA comparison, he could almost confirm the authenticity of this matter. Old Shen? Bowen, you don't know this. 2 days ago, a subordinate of my friend from an aristocratic family sent me a piece of information. He said that my son Jianxuan has a daughter in this world. I just want to verify it. Grandpa Shen explained. If the information is true, then I will know what is going on. Jianxuan has been in a vegetative state for so many years. How can he have a daughter? Hurry up and tell me the details. After spending some time, Grandpa Shen told his friend about the whole matter and the DNA report. His friend was surprised for a moment after he heard it, but he calmed down again. If that's the case, are you planning to bring your granddaughter back to the family? I will definitely bring her back. But there's no hurry. The Mu family's situation is a little complicated now. I have to think of a way to deal with it. According to what you said, the youngest daughter of the Mu family has bullied your granddaughter since she was young. That's right. That's what makes me the most angry. Jing Yun even reminded me that this girl is very good at acting. I really hope that she can act in front of me. Grandpa Shen snorted. Grandpa Shen had been working in the army all his life. He was the most upright and outspoken person. Of course, he was also good at dealing with things. But he would never allow his people to be bullied. As a steel-like soldier, if he was bullied by the enemy, he would repay them tenfold, even if he had to chase them to the ends of the earth. "You old man." His friend pointed at him and laughed. "You are getting more and more backward. You want to take revenge on the little girl. No matter what, I have to avenge my little granddaughter." She was Jinchuan's daughter. She was his granddaughter. Although the process of her birth was a little complicated, and it was not a good idea to tell others about it, he had to stand up for her since she was bullied. He did not care who the bully was. The next day, Su Zipei went to Mu Group with another DNA report. She was going according to Sheng Zhao's plan. Mr. Mu Xiao smiled when he saw Su Zipei. "You're here so soon. Is there any new development?" "Mr. Mu Xiao, can I have a few minutes of your time?" "Of course." Mr. Mu Xiao asked his secretary to wait for a few minutes. Then, he invited Su Zipei into the CEO's office. "Miss Su, I'll tell you everything you want to know. The reason why I asked you about the eldest young master of the Shen family is because of this report." Su Zipei went straight to the point. She showed Mr. Mu Xiao the DNA comparison report between Mu Qiqi and Shen Jianchuan. "Before my sister passed away, she asked me to investigate the identity of Mu Qiqi and Shen Jianchuan. So, I thought of a way to get a hair sample from the eldest young master of the Shen family and compared it with Mu Qiqi's. I was shocked when I got the result. So Mu Qiqi and Mu Tongxue are not my second brother's daughters. I couldn't see Mu Tongxue, so I made a comparison with Mu Qiqi. But they are twin sisters. They should be the same." Su Zipei guided him. "You're tuning in to the Li Mei's Sword of Destiny YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support. And don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."